In a world drowning in noise, where truth is often buried beneath layers of propaganda and misinformation, there's a need for a different kind of a network of creators that cuts through the clutter, that doesn't shy away from tough topics, and that delivers the unfiltered truth. We are a Trim Radio Network. We are creators, we are innovators, we are investigators. We're the ones who aren't afraid to call a spade a spade. If you're ready to participate in thought-provoking discussions, informational topics, and of course today's biggest headlines, subscribe to our YouTube channel today. We're Trim Radio Network. We're cutting the bull and serving the truth.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Now, from the northeast quadrant of the United States, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Saturday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern until midnight on the Trim Radio Network. You can join the conversation in any of our chat rooms. And now, without further ado, your host, Riscala.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscala, and we are going to have already starting with problems. Oh my gosh. I apologize. Camera's not operating. I'll have it working in a minute. Anyway, we're going to be talking about several things tonight, one of which is probably all across the headlines in the United States, maybe even the world, and that is the ongoing feud between the president and Mr. Musk. I got quite a few things I'd like to say about that, but and as well, I'm going to have Jerry. I think I'm going to have Jerry with me on. I haven't heard from him, so I think we'll have Jerry on with me. He has a unique point of view because he's been involved in politics and he has experienced all of that firsthand. Here we go with the feedback again. And my camera's not working. Anyway, last week I talked a little bit about this thing. If you don't know what this thing is, it's the Georgia Guidestones. I got a couple of emails saying they don't think that that's blood. They think that could be oil. Why would they put oil up there? I am fairly certain what we're looking at here is blood. And the reason why, let me just back up a second. Why would I think it's blood? Because the mentality of these people, everything is a blood sacrifice. Everything. When they have a false flag, that is a blood sacrifice. 9/11 was a blood sacrifice. All the abortions are blood sacrifice. So when you see something like, when I see something like this, and there's a strange stain up here on this roof, how did it get up there to begin with? But there's a strange stain on the roof, and the stain appears to be dried blood. That's what dried blood looks like. So it wouldn't surprise me. So yes, I still believe that it's dried blood, not oil or, some foreign material that got spilt there somehow. I think what they did is they dedicated that monument to Satan, their god, and in order for it to have, can't think of the right word, in order for it to carry the load, if you will, they hit it with some blood. See if I can find this other one. Here we go. Which you see at the top or right below where it says their goal, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Now, I don't know who or when or how God died. Let's try that again. I don't know who or where or when God died and made these people the boss. This is ridiculous. 500 million. Understand that there is approximately 350 million right here in America. They want to reduce the entire planet down to 500 million. And when this comes across, people go, oh, no, they'll never do anything like that. Look at, we have chemtrails. We know there's weather modification, always a war going on. They poisoned our food. They've poisoned our water. They hit us with their vaccines. We have all kinds of drug issues. They keep us separated between races. They bring about these false flags. They introduce 5G into our world. We have starving children all around the world, but yet we give hundreds of billions of dollars for war and nothing for the help, aid, or possibly the preservation of another generation coming forward. It's all backwards. It's all backwards. This is one of the things that I am beginning to be very concerned with. I mentioned it once before, and it's becoming more and more obvious. The Trump administration is pushing for data compression. They want to be able to keep track of everybody's information. First of all, it's illegal. Second of all, it's unconstitutional. Third of all, how can you say you're going to be in a free country when the government keeps track of everything that you do? How is that a free country? This is the direction that we are headed in right now. And, you know, I've mentioned a couple of times, I voted for Trump every time he's run. So I'm not an anti-Trumper. I don't have TDS. I support the guy, but I don't like some of his policies. I don't want to be anything to do with Gaza. If you're going to do anything in Gaza at all, help the innocent people that are there that have had their homes totally destroyed. Help them. But no, we're going to destroy, in his words, it's already demolished. So we're just going to tear it all down. And then we're going to build a paradise of some sort. And of course, the people that originally lived there won't be able to afford to live there because it'll be so expensive. So what's going to happen to these people? So I'm not happy about the Gaza thing. I am certainly not happy about this concentration of information that the government wants, under their control. They want to know everything about us. Meantime, they keep you busy. We'll just keep talking about the Epstein files, and we just keep that up in the spotlight, and then we can do all kinds of garbage in the background. There is a lot of not good stuff in this, quote, big, beautiful bill. One of the things that really upset me is, if any of you have been following Trump for any degree of time, he's always talked about balancing the debt, balancing the budget, balancing the budget. Now he wants to increase the spending limit. So it's not going to balance the budget, it's going to increase our debt. He says that if the tariffs will work properly, along with this program that he's introduced, that, if you have $5 million, you can get a special card and get into the country. That between the two of them, we're going to get out of debt. In the meantime, I'm paraphrasing, there's going to be some pain. You know what that means? The pain means that the prices are going to go up. We're going to suffer even more financially. And the only winners that I see in this are the uber rich, the people who own the corporations, because their greed is so great. They can't lose money. This is, this is some of the stuff that is, we're supposed to be transparent, right? It's supposed to be a transparent administration. Supposedly, allegedly, one of the most transparent administrations that has existed. And yet we don't get all the information on the Epstein file. Well, they know people want it, but no, they just keep people hanging on that. They don't tell us this big, beautiful bill has some real garbage in it. Oh, no. They just tell you, oh, well, we're not going to have tax on overtime. We're not going to have tax on tips. I think they're going to, I don't recall some other stuff, but it's, it's the word catch. It's the tax. So people open their ears. Oh, tax. I'm at the point where I don't want to pay tax anymore. I'm sick and tired, especially after what has been exposed. I'm sick and tired of what I have seen. We give these people our money. You realize, some of you may or may not realize, that it takes us about 3.5 to 4 months of our work every year in order to pay our taxes. And then it doesn't stop there. That's just the income tax. Then you got sales tax, you got property tax, you got your tag for your car, you got your license. It just goes on and on and on. I believe by the time it's all done, we're probably near 60 or 70% of our money goes to taxes. It's disgusting. But we're told that, we're going to have the biggest tax break in history coming up. My opinion on the taxes, well, no, back up. My opinion on making America great again. You want to make America great again? Then make our dollar great again. Because the dollar that I am using today is 1/30th of the dollar that I grew up with. The dollar that I grew up with could buy you 30 times whatever $1 could buy you today. Imagine that. Imagine if you're somebody who is just barely scraping by. You're making $18, $20, $25 an hour. Imagine times 13. What kind of a life quality would that mean for you? But no, we're going to give it to Ukraine. We're going to give it to Israel. We're going to give it here. We're going to give it there. We're going to spend money on the circumcision of It's disgusting. And I think what's worse, why is my camera back on? I think, no, that's not it either. I think what's worse, I can't figure out what happened, is that people allow it. They go on with it. They just allow it. That's not acceptable. Not acceptable. I wish sometimes that I could show people the value of, because they don't. I've had people tell me, Riscala, that's ridiculous. How can you say that your dollar was worth 30 times more than our dollar today? It's all relative. We make more money today than we made back then. That's, and I agree with that. That's a true and factual statement. However, the gap between what we made back then and what the value of the dollar was much narrower than it is today. Yeah, you make more money today, but the value of your dollar is so little. Maybe this is a better analogy. When I was growing up, married couples had the choice. Both the mom and the dad could work, and I had some friends that both mom and dad worked, or one of them could work outside the house and the other would help inside the house. When I grew up, my dad worked outside the house. My mom worked inside the house. Minimum of 6 days a week, sometimes 7, but a minimum of 6. We would have dinner as a family. My mom would clean the house, wash our clothes, clean the dishes, whatever was necessary around the house, my mom would take care of it for us. The end result was a close-knit family. My brother is my best friend. I see other families today, and the sibling, it's not rivalry, it's hatred. They hate each other. I can't understand it. But I can somewhat see how it happened because I've seen the indoctrination over the years. I've seen how these kids, when they go to school, little bits and pieces, little bitty bites here and there, fed into their ears so that it will eventually come out to be a war against their parents. Our society is degrading. I still can't figure out why my camera is not working. No. This is crazy. Society is degrading. And let's put that back for a minute. I'll figure out I can't figure out what happened. It wasn't working. And there doesn't seem to be a way around it. When we're talking about this idea that Trump wants to introduce this system to keep track of everybody, when the real ID came out, I was one that said, this is unconstitutional. They have no right to do this. But they passed it anyway. When the Obamacare came out, it's unconstitutional. It's illegal, actually. But they went ahead and this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who are pretending to be a government. They're not a government. They're part of a corporation. And they're going to do whatever's best for the corporation. Forcing people to buy something is not freedom. Well, if you don't buy, then you're going to get fined or you're going to have to pay a tax or something. That's a threat. That's not freedom. Oh, I have to get some water going down there. So what I see happening, instead of us turning the page, if you will, in a way we did. Okay, we're getting rid of the illegals. Yay! I'm happy for that. Thank you. They arrested a couple of judges that didn't agree with Trump. Okay, well, if they broke the law, arrest them. But to keep track of everybody in this system that they want to introduce is just, it's Orwellian. It's crazy. Beside the fact that we know this. Front page. Depopulation through forced vaccination. What just happened a couple of years ago? Forced vaccination. And the results are horrifying. Horrifying. Women who are no longer fertile, men who no longer have sperm, instead they have the spike protein replacing their sperm, miscarriages, myocarditis, all kinds of health issues. They have this thing now they call turbo cancer. The reason they call it a turbo cancer is because its onset is immediate and people will typically pass away before anything can happen, usually within a month. Insanity. But they want to keep giving you those vaccines. When I was growing up, autism did not exist. Did not exist. I think I had a total of 3 shots growing up. 3 of these poisonous pieces of, oh well. So the dates that you don't see at the very top, this of course is prior to 2008. It was there was 2001 to 2007 or 2006. I don't recall. But back then it was 1 in 10,000. 2008 they had to jump it to 36 vaccines. 1 in 150. 2013, 46 vaccines. 1 in 88. 2025, 72 vaccines. Autism rate 1 in 36. Why can't people correlate what is happening here? To me, this is in your face. on top of all of that, if you could prove that your child was harmed by these vaccines, you cannot sue the manufacturer. Now, why would they go out of their way? This was done years back to receive indemnity from their products. That way they can just literally make garbage and nobody can hold them responsible for it. I've got to figure out what has happened to my camera. Wow. I'm starting to upset that my camera's not working. So they have indemnity. You can't sue them. If you want to try to bring charges against them, you have to sue the government. Good luck. Never-ending well of money. How long do you think that you could last in court against the government? Even if it's known that they're guilty, all they have to do is carry it on, appeal, until finally you run out of money. They got all the money they need. They got an endless supply of money. So good luck trying to sue them. There have been some successes, I will admit. There have been a few, but it has been hell. It has been total hell for those people. Listen to this.
Hey, y'all, this new Huawei technology is absolutely out of this world. You can take files like photos from one phone, grab it, and move it over with just your hand. And that's not it, just wait. You can also pass the file to someone else's hand and they can put it in the new device. And look at this right here. You can pass it to multiple different people and still receive the message. Is the data being downloaded in their bodies? And this part right here, I don't know if I fully believe. Because she passes this message through multiple floors of a building. Through different people's hands, bro. Look how they keep dapping up each other. That's them transferring the data. Is Huawei using the people's body to store it? I need to know. How the hell is this working? Arthur C. Clarke wasn't lying when he said that technology will be indistinguishable from magic.
Pretty crazy, huh? Okay, well, admittedly, that was the wrong video. I must have mislabeled that one. The one I wanted to play is this one. This is about what I spoke about a few moments ago, the Planetar program, where they're going to collect data on everybody. If I can, here we go.
Top of the morning, y'all. Hope you're doing good. This video I'm going to read from the Constitution directly. This is going to be special. Hope it gives you chills. Hope it makes you think. And also, we have a big victory lap for one of my sponsors, Allegiance Gold, because Ron DeSantis down there in Florida just signed a bill into law making gold and silver legal tender in Florida. Can all the other governors just follow this? Can we go back to the Wild Wild West where gold and silver were legal tender everywhere? That's the way it should be. We're going back to the gold standard, y'all. And if they're stacking up gold like ammo before deer season, so should we be doing, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So go to protectwithbuddy.com or call 855-45-BUDDY. The link is going to be below. Qualified purchases get up to $5,000 in free gold or silver. I hope you don't mind, but I brought me a little copy of the Constitution. I keep this in my truck between my cig and my sweet tea. Most times I'm going to read you what we call Amendment Number 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Y'all gonna want to remember that, because something very dark has happened with Trump recently. Conservative media doesn't want to call it out. I hate calling it out. I take no pleasure in this. But I feel like this is something that's really, really important, y'all. It's the national database. The White House has contracted a company called Palantir to make a national database of personal information, very sensitive personal information for all American citizens. I'm at a loss for words. This is George W. Bush crap right here. Through Palantir, Trump wants to turn the centralized database into a supercharged surveillance state. And again, I love most of every single thing he's accomplished so far. It's been absolutely incredible. But this right here is unacceptable. This guy right here, his name is Peter Thiel, or however you pronounce his name. This guy right here is in charge of the company. They got a $113 million federal contract since Trump took office, and recently they just got a $795 million agreement with the Department of Defense. And it's all illegal, and it's all unconstitutional. Palantir has replaced old paper files and converted them to electronic files and biometrics, and they're putting them into an AI platform, y'all. An AI platform that is literally going to keep a list of all your political donations, your governmental benefits, all your movements. Okay, if you wonder why I keep my phone in a Faraday cage all the time, they're going to keep a track of your movements and maybe even your firearm records. The idea is if they get good enough at it, all this information is just going to end up being one click away for government agencies to access info on you. So just think about how China has used this technology in the last 10 years to create a social credit system. And you may be like, well, Trump ain't going to do that. That's not anything that he probably is against that without a doubt. But here's what I'm saying. The next guy that gets in there is going to use it day one. He's going to use it on you and he's going to use it on me. There's no database system that's ever been this centralized by the federal agencies in the history of the United States, is what I'm saying. And as I'm recording this video right now, Ukraine is bracing for a shock and awe response from Russia. Putin already just told Trump he has to respond. And Israel and China are about to get into all-out war with the whole world, right? And they're going to run the freaking headlines for the next 3 years. Then at that point, we've been so busy looking around at all these wars and rumors of wars that we end up being the Hunger Games, day one of, January 21st, 2029. And that's a big, big problem because our kids have to live in that dystopia, is what I'm saying. If you get nothing else from this video, I want you to understand that the reason I never respect liberals is because while Joe Biden was declining this whole time and going worse and worse and worse, and he probably wasn't even present, right? He probably wasn't even there. Almost zero Democrats ever sounded the alarm on that and said, this is a big problem. This is wrong, right? So at least as a conservative, I'm sitting here sounding the alarm. I don't know what they're thinking or if everybody's too dadgum busy up there in the Oval Office. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why stuff isn't getting denied. You know, with Trump's inner circle, like, hey, President, this isn't a good idea. He is doing some amazing work. But I'm just telling y'all, if somebody came out here and said, we're going to introduce about a dozen mature bucks out at your property. We're going to fertilize your food plots. We're going to just amp up everything. We're going to make sure your corn feeders are always filled. I'm sitting there going, I'm getting more and more excited. This is going to be the best deer season ever. Oh, and by the way, buddy, we're going to introduce 100 nuisance coyotes from the surrounding communities, and we have to relocate them on your land. Sorry. I'm like, what? You just said you're going to do all these amazing things, and then you're going to poison me with coyotes? Like I said, y'all, Trump's doing some amazing work, but down here in the South, we don't ever put our boots on without shaking them out because there could be critters in there. Does that make sense to anybody? There could be snakes, spiders, lizards, whatever. There's critters in everybody's boots down here, down South. We got to shake them out. They look like good boots. They got good tread on them. They keep you away from snakes and all that kind of stuff. They're whatever. But you got to shake them out, y'all. So yes, there's bad stuff in the big, beautiful bill. Yes, there's bad stuff going on with this surveillance system, and we got to be aware of it. Shake your boots out is all I'm asking of my conservative party. Shake them out and find out what the heck's in there before we just proceed aimlessly because we're busy. Is that too much to ask? God bless y'all. Appreciate you watching. Be good.
All right, got the camera working while I had the video running. So it's pretty serious. Pretty serious. They want to track everything about us. And with the introduction of digital currencies, I mean, so I get the argument. Okay, Riscala, what's your argument here? Because they already control us anyway. I mean, it's evident. It's already happened. We saw, who's it, Kanye, I think is the guy's name. He was buddies with Trump on the first go-around. I think it was one of those guys. He started speaking out against the system, and they froze over $1 million of his. Froze it. He couldn't have it. He was making public statements saying they froze my money. So yes, they can already do it. but, big but, there is still cash available. So you can still have cash on hand. If they freeze you, at least you have some, it may be a small option, but you have some option. If they go digital, everything is digital. They can stop you on a dime, as an old saying goes. They can stop you literally within a minute. You do something wrong. This is what Buddy was talking about, the last guy in the video. This is what he's talking about. Okay, so let's say that Trump is not going to, he's doing this, but not for nefarious reasons, for argument's sake. What about the next guy or the guy after him? We have crazies. Look at the Democratic Party, and it's not just the Democratic Party, people. Their Republicans are just as crazy as those guys. They just don't show it as easily. So if they had access to this information, they could start bringing charge. I have so many things running through my mind. I can't pick them. So many years ago, I was told, if you really live in a free country, then you wouldn't have 10,000 laws. You just have simple laws. You don't steal from somebody. You don't hurt somebody, unless it's in defense of your personal self or something like that. Just simple laws. We got a bazillion laws on the books. Why do I say that? Because I guarantee you, I could, on any person, if I had everything about them, tracked them day in, day out, knew everything about them, I could guarantee you we have broken some stupid law somewhere that we could be found guilty of. And what value is that, Rascala? Well, if they start a social credit system like they have in China, it could have a huge effect on you. So we go digital. There's no more cash available. You're like me. You say things you really shouldn't say against the government, because I'm at the point in my life where I see these people as criminals. So you say something. It doesn't have to be like anything violent or anything. It's just, I don't like the government. They did this or they did that. Now you want to go to the store. First of all, they face scan you when you go to the store. So you're not even going to get in the store. But let's, for argument's sake, say they don't have a face scanner. You get in the store. Everything in the store has cameras on it with face scanners on them. Your face is already in the database. You walk up to a cooler. You try to open the cooler. No, cooler stays locked. Why? Because they've already scanned your face and you're not allowed to buy because your social score has gone down. Why? Because you said something they didn't like. And how were they able to do that? With this program, exactly what they're doing today. Tracking everything, what you buy, where you live, your phone numbers, anything personal, emails, anything that they can gather from you, they will get. It's not a good way to go. That's not. Had this conversation with my brother earlier today. It seems as though people don't care about privacy anymore. But at one time, privacy was a gold standard for us. You could not have any information of mine without my explicit expressed permission. That doesn't exist anymore. Oh, well, you want this app? Well, we need your email and we need your phone number, your mobile. And just about, I would say 95% of the people have a mobile phone. Landlines hardly exist anymore. So now they have an email, they have your name, and in some cases they want your address, but most of them is they have your name, and they have your phone number, and they have your email. They take all that data, they gather it all together, and then they mine other people's data along with it, and they sell it. It's internet gold. Information on the internet is gold. Absolute gold. But they'll hit you with these, for your security, we want to make sure you're a real person. Check here. I am told, I can't prove it, but I am told when you check that little box, they do a quick scan of your computer. That's giving them permission to scan your computer. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, there goes your privacy. How many people have all kinds of private information on their phone? You know doggone well that phone's listening to you. There's no question about it. People have said repeatedly, oh, you know what? My friend and I were talking about whatever, shoes. And all of a sudden I see advertisements for shoes. Oh, my friend and I were talking about coats or something. And all of a sudden you see the advertisement for what you're talking about. Where do you think it came from? Privacy doesn't exist anymore. And God forbid you have one of these Siri or what's the other one? I can't think of the other one. In your home, and you are having a conversation. Don't you think they're thinking you? Don't you think they're listening to you? How is it that when you say Siri, that they think of thinking, okay, yes, I'm ready. Go ahead, talk. Because they're listening the whole time. Otherwise, you could say Siri from now until the end of the world. They wouldn't know it. They're not on standby, not listening to you, tuned into the word Siri or Alexa, whatever the heck that is. They're not tuned into that. They're listening to everything. And it's already been documented that it goes and they mine that information. Oh, well, you know what? The Smith family at blah, 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 because they have the address, and blah, blah, blah address, and blah, blah. They're talking about camping. Send them a whole bunch of camping information. They're talking about painting the house. All kinds of information on painting the house. No more privacy, you guys. It's sad. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I think I got Jerry. It looks like I have Jerry. And we're going to have a discussion about what's going on between Mr. Musk and Mr. Trump. And I'd like to get his input as well, because I'm not, this whole thing it's not conducive. There's nothing positive about this. I've had people say, oh, they're playing people. What they want, well, we'll talk more about that. But to me, it's not conducive. It's just not. All right, here we go. We'll take a quick break and I'll be back. Don't go away. If all goes well.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala.
Come with me if you want to live. Stay here. I'll be back.
You have asked, are we happy? Are we happy and effective? Consultation with leading experts in the field makes it perfectly clear, that we are all now programmed for perfect happiness.
We see what they want us to see. We hear what they want us to hear. They think we can't handle the truth.
If you feel you are not properly sedated, call 348-844 immediately. Failure to do so may result in prosecution for criminal drug evasion.
See that the humans remain entertained until the end.
Control. All always subjective for divine. Control. Created in the control mass. By the masses. Control. For the masses. Control.
We're back. Hope you didn't go too far, because we have more interesting and thought-provoking information for you coming up on the Red Pill Reality Show.
All right, got the cam working. Actually made the ad work. Hot dog on a roll. Let me see if I got Jerry here. Let's see. Are you there, Jerry? I see a nice house in the background there. Nice. Maybe on standby. All right, I'll leave him on. I'll leave him on till I can see him. Anyway, as I was mentioning, this idea of gathering all of this information. This is like the first step in maximum control. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you about this. How many people know about the Black-Eyed Club? The Black-Eyed Club. I probably Google will show it. If you go on Google, you put in Black-Eyed Club. You'll see pictures of various people with the black eye. And typically these are people who have signed on to the dark side in some form or fashion. In fact, as soon as I saw that, I said, oh my goodness. This was, now, mind you, the black eye was before the fallout. Okay? This is before the fallout. This could have something to do with the fallout. I was wondering where Jerry's at. Could be related to the fallout, or somebody brought up a unique idea, and that is, what if this is all a put on? And now Elon has said, oh, well, the reason you guys haven't seen the Epstein files is because Trump is in the files. Now, those of us who have been following this for any degree of time and have just a couple of neurons firing upstairs know doggone well that if there was anything that could be held against Trump, they would most certainly have brought it out. Let me see if Jerry's back. I can't tell if he's back or not yet. Are you there? Get rid of this guy. Get rid of the black guy. You there, Jerry? Nope. He told me he's having internet problems tonight. It's funny because our internet was out for a while today, and then it came back on. I'm hoping we don't start having problems as well. So if they had anything on him, there's no doubt in my mind they would have plastered it all over every mainstream media. That would have been the main page on newspapers. Come on. So what if it's a skit? What would happen? Well, let's see. Now, if it is a skit and the Democrats, it's a trap, so to speak, the Democrats fall for it. Oh, we got something on Trump. We never looked there. Maybe they never looked there. I doubt that, but hey, I'm just kind of going with it. Well, we want to see those files. Maybe it was something we haven't seen. Maybe they're holding something we haven't seen. We want those files, we want an expose on those files. We want them all released now. Only to find out and Epstein's lawyer came on. And he reported Trump's name was listed on the passenger list one time. And it was from New York to West Palm, I think. I think Jerry's back. Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, Jerry. How are you?
Great. I'm having all kinds of computer problems, so it's one of those days.
Oh, no. Yeah, and we had internet problems earlier today where the internet went out for a while and then came back on. So
Yeah,
I thought
I'm having problems with my system, so I don't know if it's working or not. But anyway, so good to have you around, and good. Thanks for having me on the show again.
Well,
So anyway, what's the subject tonight?
Well, we're talking about there's just several subjects, but right now I'm talking about the feud that's going on between Trump and Musk, And could this be a put on? Could this be to get the Democrats to want to release the Epstein files? I was saying that, picture right now. I was saying that if they are putting this on and they get the Democrats to believe that maybe Trump is listed in the Epstein files somewhere, something derogatory, oh, well, then we have to release those files. They all have to be released right away, and it would be a way to get them to release the files. If they're the guys that are holding it back, I don't know.
Well, my take on that is somebody hacked. I heard somebody hack that system and threw that out there and are just trying to stir up crap. And I don't think it's true. I just think it's garbage.
Well, his name is mentioned one time. Epstein's lawyer said his name is mentioned one time, but it's not to the island. It was from New York to West Palm.
Right. And the whole story behind that is Epstein invited him to his island and Trump said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
After he found out what was going on. So, yeah, he's listed on the log, but none of this pedophile stuff. I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. No. So if the two of them are making this up in order to get the Democrats to think, oh, you know what? Pam Bondi was saying there's these, I think it was like 10,000 files that they're still looking through and all this that they just found and they've been hiding. If they can get the Democrats to believe that Trump is in there and they want him so bad, well, let's release all of the files right away. You follow what I'm saying? Because I know doggone well if they had anything on them, it would have been shown a long time ago, much longer.
Exactly. That would have been there. They would have never even suggested getting those files and opening them up or making them public if that was the case.
Yeah.
So I find it extremely hard to believe that any of that's legitimate.
But they want the attention focused here. See, because there's other things happening. I think you missed the monologue. The President Trump has partnered with a guy from Palantir. I may not be pronouncing it correctly. I'm looking for the name. And what they're going to do is they want to have all of the information on everybody put in one central point. To me, it's the first step in a social engineered system like they have in China. They were going to know everything about you. We already have stores that don't have cashiers, right? There's a store here that does not accept cash at all. The only thing you can use is a card. So you see we're headed into that direction. And in China, if you say something that the government doesn't like and it lowers your score, well, then when you go to do something, you go to buy gas or you go to buy groceries or whatever, in some cases, depending upon how severe it is, they could stop you from doing it. They could take your money from you. They can fine you because they have total control over everything because everything is digital. You don't have cash over there.
Right. And, but again, it's like anything, they're going to control, everybody's going to try and control something. And the reality of it is it going to work? Is it going to actually happen? And the question is, what's really going on in our system? What's really happening? And what is the truth out there? We don't even know what the truth is.
Well, this guy that he's partnered with, can't find it. We know they've already told us exactly what they're going to do. It's not like there's a guessing game. They're going to collect data on everybody. My whole disagreement with this, my whole reason that I'm not happy with this, to me, this is the first step. And maybe even a second step, because we already have cameras all over the place. So now this will be a second step. And we have facial recognition all over the place. So this will be a second step in controlling us. They'll know everything about us. Trump has introduced, I may be mistaken about this part of it, a gold-backed Bitcoin, for lack of a better description, a gold-backed currency that is on the internet. You start buying that, and everything is heavily controlled. They can stop whatever you're doing. If you're trying to buy something, of course, I know they can do it now, but this is control even further than they have now. That's my point.
Well, the control's always going to be there, no matter what. We have control right now, and the reality of it is, what do we do about it? Okay, the fact of the matter is, I keep hearing these gloom and doom stories from a friend of mine every day. And last October, she says, "Oh, October 1st, they're going to shut down the banking system and we're going to switch over to
Yeah,
digital
I've heard that so
currency."
many times. Yeah.
And I'm going like, okay, you got to think realistically here. The reality of it is, who would who would not allow this to happen? Okay. You think about this, and I've mentioned this once before. It would be the drug dealers.
Yeah, but the drug dealers are on their way out.
Well, that's they're going to be there forever. And the reality of it is, they're not going to walk down the street and say, "Okay, give me your bitcoins for my drugs." It's just not going to happen. So the reality of it is, will the drug dealers pay the politicians, which is already happening now anyway, to lobby against that law ever being passed? So, you got to look at it from a logical standpoint. What's logical out there, and how long would it take them to actually switch over to a digital currency that's backed by gold? There would, unfortunately, there's so much currency out there, they would have to start every restaurant, every store in the world, every bank in the world would have to start taking money back. They'd
Mm.
start, or saying, we can't take your money anymore, which happened during COVID. What happened during COVID, they said, okay, we can't take cash because it might be infected.
Yeah.
So you have to give us a credit card. That's one way to do
The
it.
credit card's not going to be infected. It's so silly, though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so, anyway, you have all these scenarios that don't make a lot of sense. And so you have to look at, are we going to keep everything status quo? Sure. Will digital coins be there eventually? Sure.
Well, I know I don't argue that. Definitely digital is going to be there. My argument is, are they going to push everything to be totally digital?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because, it's okay. How do you pay? Okay, street vendors. Here's my digital coin through my iPhone. Not everybody has iPhones. Not everybody has an intelligent phone. Some of them use flip phones still. So we've got to transition over everybody to have some kind of smart device to do
So
that.
what if they offer it for free, Jerry? Because they're going to make all kinds of money.
Okay, let me put it that way. That happened to us once back in the late 80s, early or late 90s. Remember when the government mandated no more analog TVs?
Yeah.
And they gave everybody converter boxes for free?
Yeah.
And that would be one way to do that. Well, not everybody got those converter boxes. And so what about the people that didn't convert?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to them? Did they lose their TV signal? No, they found another way to do it. So there's always ways around it. And you have to look at long-term reality.
Oh, just lost him.
Oh, hold on. My phone's coming back.
Okay, I see you.
Okay. So anyway, well, all this is possible and plausible. The reality of it is, how do they implement it? Do they just one day go, guess what? Your dollar bill's not good anymore? Everything you have, so a lot of people have their cash at home.
Mm-hmm.
They have a stockpile of cash. They might
Yeah.
have $10,000. I've got friends that tell me they've got enough money to last for 6 months in a safe in their home. Is all that money going to be worthless?
It could be.
It could very well be. But the reality is, it's not likely.
Yeah.
It's really not a likely alternative. It would be.
How do you feel about this? I wish I could get the name right. It's Palantir, I think it is. This corporation, the government is partnering with this corporation, contracting, I guess is the correct term, with this corporation to gather all of this information for us, so that one touch of a button, anybody in government can find out what they within law enforcement, I believe it is, can find out anything about you.
Well, that's already available right now. I mean, let me tell you.
Not in a central database, though. They have to go through different. That's how some of these guys get away, because not everything has a central database. They do on some things, but not on everything. This is going to be everything.
Well, and we'll see what happens there. The reality of it is, will that happen? What's going to happen with that? How is that going to affect us? And what, that central database, they're going to start doing that now. It's like the air control systems in the United States. They're not, the traffic control systems are not working right now.
Oh, I didn't
And
know
so,
that.
well, they're not working properly. They're all outdated systems,
Mhm.
and they're having problems with them. And so the reality of it is, what are we going to do about that? What are we going to, when the air traffic controller system craps out like it's been happening all over the United States because the system's so antiquated? How long is it going to take them to revitalize that?
Hmm.
That's another problem. So
Yeah.
when's that going to happen? And if that's the case, what are we going to do about it? And how long is it going to take? So you got to take in consideration the infrastructure of the United States is going to have to be modified to be able to handle all this. You look at what were they talking? The Department of Education had 165 different systems, so they couldn't share data and they couldn't share information. See, that's the problem. We can't share information right now because we don't have the infrastructure for it.
Hmm.
So when is that going to happen? That to implement something like that's going to take 10 years.
Well, okay, so let's say it takes 10 years. What about our kids and our grandkids? What are they going to have to face? So
Well, okay,
my whole point is, I don't think people realize that this is going to happen. I think that they're focusing on the beginning of the monologue. What I was talking about is taxes. When they say we're not going to tax you, that the ears pop open and listen. Oh, they're not going to tax me on overtime. They're not going to tax me on my tips. They're not, So it gathers the attention to that subject while they're, it's watch the left hand while the right hand is doing something different. Is what I'm saying.
well, again, but you've got to look at the reality of everything. Okay, the reality is, could we screw up the entire economy overnight? Yes, but the world is too dependent upon us and dollar bills. Okay, and even Iran, we gave Iran in cash
Yeah.
$10 billion in cash, printed bills. Okay, everybody's economy operates off U.S. dollars, and so to to do that, don't you think? I mean, you would see such rebellion worldwide on that in a
Hmm.
heartbeat.
Hmm.
So the problem comes into play. What do you do about that? I mean, what's the reality? The reality is, what are we really going to do? And when do you think it's going to happen? Well, first of all, okay, remember 2000 when they thought the world was going to collapse because we hadn't
I
converted
know.
all the,
Yeah.
that was the 2000 doomsday.
Yep.
Then
The
what about
banks are going to
okay,
go
then
crazy.
2012, the world was going to come to end because the Mayan calendar didn't exist
Yeah.
after 2012. We all went into panic. People were building bomb shelters and spending millions of dollars doing all this stuff. It's all, think about this, all these conspiracy things, most of them, if you look at them on the internet, are provoked by individuals trying to get you to read their book for
Okay.
$39.95 on
Yeah.
how I'm going to save you from dying when the economy goes to blazes in a handbag. And
Yeah.
when the dollar bill's gone and we only have digital coins, read my book for $39.95 and I'm going to save your butt. Well, that's what's going on out there. And we have to understand the gloom and doomers are making money off of us because we're going, oh, I've got to have that survival book. Did I buy one? Heck yeah. Got it sitting on my shelf. What have I done with it? Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. And that's the other thing. And then I went out and bought the book on natural cures just in case the world comes to an end. I need to be able to, make medicine for me.
Yeah.
So, okay, somebody got me for $80. Okay. And you know what? Who's the only ones laughing? The people on the other end. I scared him half to death, though he spent $40 on my book to learn how to
Fear
survive.
factor is, the
And
fear factor is
yeah,
unquestionably is a determining item in the decision making
well,
of
and so you have to look at logic. in all things. You have to look at what is the reality? What is the true reality? I don't know if you can see me, but what's the true reality out there? What things are going to happen that's going to affect our lives? Hold on. I'm trying to get
Because
into
some
my
of the people, sadly, is that they're too focused on, what I brought up before. They're too focused on something like this. Just keep the attention on all of this while they're doing something else that they shouldn't be doing.
Well, exactly. It's like the magicians. What does a magician do? He distracts and then
Right. Right.
redirects.
Exactly. It's a distraction. That's exactly right.
So hold
That's a
on.
weird
I'm
picture.
having computer problems still. Hold on.
Trying to.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. So anyway, you know, and that's our government's greatest accomplishment. Distract and redirect.
Yeah.
And so here we are, all trying to figure out: is the world going to come to an end tomorrow morning? In your own mind, yes. And can you make it happen?
And it'll
Sure.
be Trump's fault.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But have you seen anything really monumentally happen in our lives? Really? I mean, have you seen any catastrophic deviation from our daily lives? Really? I've not seen any.
I well, I have to say that since 9/11, I have seen some major changes in the way
Well,
we
yeah,
live.
yeah. I mean, that's affected our life and our livelihood and the way we travel now. I mean, that's been a big effect on us. But, and that was because of a catastrophic situation. We went to the security measure. But it's like that movie Vendetta. If they scare us bad enough, then and they're the only people that can save us, we're going to go to them to save us.
Hmm.
And then the government can say,
That's what
okay, now that
they'll
we're
protect
in
you.
control.
They'll
Now that we're in
protect you. You
control,
just have to give up this, so you have to give
yeah,
up that. Yeah.
you
That's what
give
they
up this,
want. I
give up
mean,
that.
that's pretty evident. They've been at that for quite some time.
Well, and
It's a
and
matter of how many people are going to resist that, especially when, I've said this a couple of times. I read about, I don't remember, I think it was in the 1940s or maybe in World War One, one of the two world wars. Um, the government demanded that people give up their gold, and they were going to pay them a minimal amount for their gold. And I remember reading that and thinking to myself, "There's no way that would happen. I can't believe that the government forced people to give up their gold at a minimal price. That's thievery. That's no way that would ever. That's just not going to happen today. Wrong.
right,
Wrong.
all things are determined upon the action of the government at the time. And the government could, coerce you, convince you, suggest you, whatever, to get you to do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And have we
Yeah.
all done stupid stuff before in our lives? Heck yeah. Are we going to continue to do stupid stuff?
Well,
Heck yeah.
see, that's what I was saying earlier. We have like 10,000 laws on the books. So if they have all this information on us and we piss them off about something, who knows what, then they
Well,
can make our lives miserable with it. One click of a button, find out everything about us. Oh, well, look, he broke that law here. Some vague law that may be from, in early Western days. Who knows? But my point being is that there's so many laws on the books. I don't know them all. There's no way. I don't think anybody knows them all.
well, and that's the reality of the problem is that they don't, there's so many laws out there. We don't know what laws are
Exactly.
legitimate. And
Exactly.
that's
So if
the,
they have everything about, if they know everything about you and everything that you're doing and blah 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 blah, and you make them mad some way, shape, or form, they can make your life miserable by bringing some obscure law of some sort. It's you went to the zoo and you petted a horse or something, and there's some obscure law about touching a horse a certain way, or who knows? And then
well,
you follow what
I
I'm
mean,
saying,
okay.
that they shouldn't have access to that
Okay.
much information that readily by
Okay.
any law enforcement. I just don't agree. I can't agree with that.
Okay. I'll give you a prime example where that effect just happened to me. Okay. Leslie and I were supposed to be on this reality show with Hallmark.
Mhm.
Okay. And they did a background check on us, and we didn't pass. Okay. And the reason we didn't pass is because they pulled up where I had made a comment about something on TikTok. And I said, I was upset about all the racial, divide that we have in the United States and how we should all just come together and just be Americans and quit being the divisive people that we are by giving everybody a hyphenated name, African American, Indian
Yeah.
American,
Yeah.
Japanese American. I said, let's get rid of the hyphenation and let's be just Americans. Well, because I was saying something that was negative toward other races as they perceived it, they kicked us off the show. And then they also went after Leslie because of her degree. They said they questioned that. And of course, that caused a rift because we didn't get on the show. That caused a rift between Leslie and I. But I look at Hallmark. Here they are. Hallmark is so woke still that they're now, if you're a Republican, they don't want you on the show because it's the Democrats picking the people.
Hmm.
And so we have where they're controlling us now through media.
Mhm.
Okay. If you're not on their boat, you don't get on TV
Yeah,
or
I
on
agree. I
or
agree.
anything.
Yep.
And so,
Totally agree.
you got to congratulate me tonight because I just got my doctorate in what did I get it in? And it cost me, I don't know, it cost me I think $25. It's doctorate of metaphysics degree.
A doctorate. Say it again. What is it?
Metaphysics degree.
Metaphysics. Wow.
I think that might be the same degree that Leslie has.
Oh, wow.
And so,
Metaphysics. Metaphysics. I have to look that up. I'm not real
yeah,
clear about what that
yeah,
would
well,
be.
you can be a doctor for $25
Wow.
and you
Sweet.
can marry people.
Oh, yeah. Wow. For
So,
$25. Such a deal.
so anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I just had it posted on my wall tonight because I
Yeah.
was very proud of going through that dissertation that I had to go through of sending him money.
Wow.
The problem is with these degrees out there, so many people take them as reality and they're not. And so that's another way that people are controlling other people. They get them to believe that if you take my course and pay me $1,200, even though I'm not a legitimate college, uh, you can become a doctor of anything. It's like it's unbelievable. And so and then people present themselves out there as doctors. And then we don't, it's like anything, everything can be a lie. We can make
Yeah.
something out of anything. And that's what the government's doing to us.
Yeah.
If we lie to them enough, then they're going to believe 80% of it. That's all we care. And, and so we can lead them down this primrose path and lead them to slaughter without them even knowing it. And it's the proverbial stick a lobster in cold water and slowly turn up the heat. They'll die and not even
Sadly.
know it.
Yeah.
Not even know it. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening to us right now. They're turning up the heat. We're going, oh, it's not that bad. The heat's not that bad tonight. Well,
Yep.
it's not that bad. And it just keeps getting a little warmer, a little
Yep.
warmer, a little bit more.
By the time it's
Con-
too hot, it's too late.
yeah,
That's
and it's too late.
that's the frog in the boiling water
Right. And we've
analogy.
got, so what do we do about it? The problem is, what do we do about it? And they say, well, vote your congressman out.
Yeah.
Okay. When you got a congressman with a buttload of money, there's nothing you can do about it. And you take in consideration what just happened in Florida with that sheriff. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Yeah. They arrested the guy, right?
Yeah,
This was
he was
Lee
for,
County. No, no. What county? I don't remember what county.
I can't remember either, but it was organized crime. He was in Kissimmee and Lake County,
Yeah.
organized crime and casinos. And he was on big time YouTube. I'm going to stop these criminals. He was a big social media guy. And now he's a social media guy in prison.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
there's another source, the government controlling us, taking advantage of us, and getting away with crimes within, that's going on. I mean, that's happening all the time now. And it's
Yes.
scary to think how much our life has changed from the 50s.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Do
You
you
look back.
think? Do you think any of these guys that are right now, like I'm thinking, like big names, like a Pelosi or Schumer or a Schiff or any one of these guys, do you think they're ever going to be held responsible?
No, ever, never. It's never going to happen.
How sad.
And
I
it
think
is
that
sad.
creates a, I mean, for me anyway, creates more of a, I can't think of it, a disrespect, a discontent, just
Well, it's disheartening to
irritation,
see the judicial system only works for people who don't have money.
Yeah, sadly.
If you
Really
don't have
sad.
any money, the judicial system's going to burn you alive.
Yeah.
But if you're in a political position, have millions of dollars, what are they going to do to you?
Mm-hmm.
They always claim immunity because they're elected officials. Well, why should they have any immunity? It's
That was
just,
one of my arguments. Why should they be permitted, knowing that they can't be held responsible? Like Adam Schiff. So I was talking, maybe it was you. I asked. I don't remember. I was talking with somebody and I said, "How can Adam Schiff literally lie before the nation and carry on in a manner that brings, a difficult time for the president on purpose, knowing what he's distributing, what he's saying is all a lie, and never be held responsible?" Whoever it was I was talking to about it, I wish I could remember who it was, said no, he can't be held responsible because he has indemnity.
well,
What the hell is that?
they have judicial immunity. Okay. As elected officials, it's like the federal government can't be sued because they have sovereign immunity against any kind of litigation. So if you want to sue the federal government, you have to jump through all these lists to try and get anywhere.
Hmm.
And so the reality of it is, it's too expensive to sue the federal government.
Yeah.
So
Back again.
the average person can't do that. So what's going on here? What is right out there is not right anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. We don't have justice, judicial systems that work for the average citizen. And then on top of that, these political figures that have ripped us off through kickbacks through these NGOs, all these organizations, these politicians that have made millions of dollars. You look at AOC, $25 million in
Yeah, I want to
3
know how
years.
she got that money. How can so she's another one that's immune from all this? They find out. Let's just, for argument's sake, they find out that whoever it is, and I'm not going to use a name, but they determine without question that it was achieved illegally. They still can't be held.
Who's going to do it? Yeah, the question is, who's going to do it? Who's going to pull the gun on those people? Nobody. Because what's a
Well,
good old saying?
Then
Don't
we've been
clap.
misled, because I really believe that when Trump got in, he was going to put in a team. And I had my questions about Pam Bondi because I've lived in Florida all my life and had not serious problems, but I had questions about her many years ago. But Pam Bondi, we got Cash Patel, we got Dan Bongino, we got Pete Hegseth. To me, at least on the surface, these are kick-ass people. And I'm thinking, maybe I was overthinking. I'm thinking, well, these people are going to put the people that really need to go to prison in prison. But I haven't seen a one of them go.
Well, and we won't.
That's
And the problem is there's a good old proverbial statement: don't throw stones at a glass house. Okay.
Yeah.
In other words, you're no better than them. How much? Okay, this is the funny story. Okay, we could do this right now. If you wanted to create a best-selling book, you can do it with AI right now, and just let it go on the internet. Have it create your book for you, unauthorized biography of Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? You could put all kinds of crap in there, and Joe Biden will never sue you. You know why? Because under litigation terms, if I sue you, you have the right to look through all my dirty laundry.
Disclosure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so guess what? They don't want anybody looking through their dirty laundry.
Didn't think about that. Yeah. Wow.
So they're never going to sue you. So you can make a book that's got tons of lies in it, make up stuff and say Joe Biden had gone to Epstein's island 55 times. He molested little girls. He killed them. And none of
Well,
that. They won't.
there is a young lady who testifies that she was sold to Biden and Obama. They both raped
Well,
her.
you
According,
know,
can't think of her name. She young lady, um, Amber something. Can't think of her whole name, but she has testified in court. She's turned over documents, and it's like you're saying, nothing happens. Nothing
you
happens.
know, the sad part is we'll never see anybody except individuals get prosecuted.
Hmm.
Period. And all these people have done these horrific things. Okay, AOC's online telling illegal immigrants how to
Yeah,
hide from ICE.
yeah.
That's illegal. Okay, has the guy gone up and seen her? The head of the ICE gone up and arrested her? Nope. Why
Oh,
not?
I think they did say something to her. If I'm not mistaken, I think they warned her or something.
Okay, but they arrest. If we were doing that, we'd go to jail.
True.
And so, why is it that, she can do anything she wants, or a politician can do anything they want, and there's no ramification from it? Every one of
Yes.
these, you look at Hillary Clinton, all the crimes that she committed.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Nothing.
She's not in jail.
That's
Bill
that was
Clinton.
one of the frustrations for me in the past administration, watching them literally just commit treason repeatedly. Afghanistan, that was an open case, open in your face treason, to leave all of that stuff behind. So we exited Vietnam. When we exited Vietnam, we were told anything that's working will not work when we leave. Is that clear? Yes. And there will be no ammo left behind. You'll either destroy it or you'll bring it back, regardless of what it costs. In Afghanistan, we left everything behind. Some of it brand new equipment. That's not
And
treason.
and millions, billions of dollars worth of equipment, which now
Yeah,
the
it's open face
Hezbollah,
treason to me.
Hezbollah, and all them are using it against us.
Yeah,
We funded the terrorist organizations. We funded
yeah.
them, and we were still
Disgusting.
funding them under USAID.
And I read an article that says the Democrats are fighting not to have those cuts made that Doge has found.
Well, of course, you know why? They're getting kickbacks
That's
from the
yeah.
NCOs.
That's how somebody can be in politics, 6 years and have 20 some odd freaking $1 million. It just makes me physically, I'm telling you, I get physically sick thinking about some of the crap that these people have gotten away with. And it seems as though, and you're probably right at this point, nothing is going to happen. They're not
No,
going to do anything.
nothing. There's nothing going to happen to anybody out there because they're they're protected. They've written so many laws to protect themselves. There's not a way in blazes they can get touched.
Hmm.
And it's sickening to all of us that see, the average citizen goes to jail for insider trading. Nancy Pelosi brags about it and
Yeah,
nothing happens to
yeah,
her
yeah.
and makes millions and millions of dollars. But, the average person does insider trading and they go to prison. So why are they set aside from the laws of the regular citizens? It's because they've made the laws. They've written the laws themselves.
Isn't there
So
something in the Constitution that says that we're not supposed to have lawyers in politics?
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think that there's something in there, some amendment of some sort. And I
Well,
think the
if
reason
there
that they
is,
said that is
90% of the legislators are lawyers.
I think the reason that it's in there, I'll look it up in a second. We can take another break here in a short time. Um, I think the reason that they did that is because the lawyers know the laws and know how to bend the laws, and they
Well,
don't
of
want they
course.
don't want the laws bend. They didn't. They know how to circumvent getting in trouble, basically.
Well, of course. I mean, the natural reality of it is, hey, if you're in control of the laws, protect yourself. Write the
Yeah.
law that protects you.
Yep.
And that's the gold standard. I'm gonna write a law to protect me. Why wouldn't I? Who's gonna stop me? And then
So I'm
all your buddies go, hey, I'm gonna put this in a law, vote for it because it's gonna protect you too. Got it. 100% pass. And why
wow.
wouldn't they? It's like if you can go into your homeowner subdivision and say, you all have to pay $1,000 a month homeowners insurance, except me, because I'm writing the law, that I'm the managing person here. So I'm going to exempt myself from doing this,
Mm,
but everybody else has to pay.
yeah.
And that's what they've done.
Wow.
They said everybody else has to pay, but we don't.
Yeah.
We get
It really is lopsided. You know, they
well,
say it's not a justice system; it's a just us system kind of
well,
thing.
exactly right. And that's the
And
reality of what's going on out there is what do we do about it? How do we, what steps can we
we,
take?
we,
And
I said this a long time ago, long before, even before Obama got in. I kept saying, people, when they wash their whites, they wash them in hot water, and then what do? They put bleach in there to get them back to white. And what we need to do is bleach Washington. We need to get rid of everybody. We need to start over. It's an impossible theory, but that's really, I think, for us,
well,
in order
they say the tree of freedom needs to be pruned every once in a while.
and is fed by the blood of patriots.
Right. But okay, who's going to do that? Who's going to do that? Who's going
Yeah.
to stand up and do that?
I
And
think if more and
that's
more
the
people
problem.
would wake up, because I really think that people are getting tired of what's going on. Me personally, I'm not happy about this thing I mentioned to you earlier about them being able to gather all this information on us. Another thing that Trump was pushing is he wants us to be the leaders in AI. Now, I don't blame him for that, because he's a goal driven individual. And his goal is for us to be the head of everything in the world, head of industry, the head of technology, and everything. And that we are number one. That's, I think, in his eyes, that is what makes us great. Excuse me.
Well, and the reality of it is, yes, we are great. We are the best country in the world. We have the best attributes. We have the most money. We have the most innovation. We're best at anything. And the reality of it is, we're losing because what we've done based on our laws, we've allowed other countries to infiltrate our country, steal our ideas, take over our country, and we're going, oh well, that's because our freedom. And
Yeah.
we are so stupid because the freedom of China to come over here and buy all of our
They should never be able
farms,
to own any land. I forget, one of the states said, I think it was
Missouri.
Dakota. Was it Dakota?
It was Missouri.
Missouri? You're
Missouri
not buying
passed
any
a
land
law
here,
saying,
pal. And there's another somewhere. I did a little bit on it a couple of shows back about somebody filed a suit against the Chinese for something. I don't recall what it was.
yeah, it was
And the
Missouri.
Chinese defaulted, and now they're going to collect on
Yeah,
that.
that was Missouri. Missouri filed a lawsuit because they blamed China for the COVID,
Mhm.
and they sued them, and they got a default judgment because
Yep.
China never fought the case. So now what they can do, the punishment of that is they can go and seize
Assets.
all the land,
Yep.
and
Assets.
that's
They
what they're
get your
doing.
assets. Yep.
So what they're doing is seizing all the land that's uh, out, that China has purchased in
Mhm.
Missouri. Now they need to do that in Arizona, Oklahoma, because Oklahoma, they went into Oklahoma and were buying land 5 times its value. Now,
Wow.
who does that?
Yeah.
And especially it was close to military bases.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
whole point behind it is they wanted to go in and spy on our military bases, and they can
Right.
listening devices now they can put them in anything, so they could record a conversation a mile away with what's going on. And
They
so,
have insects. Have you seen that? They have insects
yeah,
that are
well,
drones.
yeah.
A fly. I saw a video of a fly that is a drone. Oh my God. Birds that are drones. It's
Well,
technology is so far beyond any of our imaginations. We can't, many times I've shared the analogy. Mind you, 1970 in the Air Force, we had aircraft, we had drones that were remote controlled drones, 1970, remote controlled drones by computers on the ground. And the drones would do evasive maneuvers so that our fighters would go up after them. They could hone their fighting skills.
right,
1970, we had that.
right. And the reality of it is, those technologies have gotten more advanced now
Yeah. Yeah.
to the point, you watch all these new um, military movies where they're going and spying in on different terrorists, and they've got a little fly that flies in and sets on the beam and records everything. That stuff is legitimate,
It's
real out there
crazy.
now. And so,
It
the
is
question
crazy.
comes, and you can buy these, these cameras now that are getting so microscopic, you can put them anywhere.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so our technology is so far advanced now that we're letting our enemies take over our country.
It's
And
sad.
and
It's sad.
Trump
They
is
should
trying
not be able to purchase 1 acre of land at all.
no.
There's a couple of things that are happening that I don't agree with regard to the government. One, if you're going to be in the government, I don't think that you should be someone who has, let me rephrase it. I don't think you should be permitted if you hold a dual citizenship. If
Oh, I
you're
agree. I totally
if
agree.
you're American and something else, whatever that something else is, you have to give that up, pal, because it's either you're 100% for America or you're not in. So
Well,
that's one of the
Ilhan
things we need to get
Omar
rid of.
has dual citizenship.
Who?
She's a congresswoman that has dual citizenship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, okay,
Omar. Yeah, yeah.
where's her allegiance? Where's
That's
her
what I'm
allegiance?
saying.
She's
Either
already
you're
proven her
100%.
allegiance to the other entity that she's.
I think we need to get rid of all of this. There's a huge number of them up there that are dual citizens of Israel. They're
Well, guess
America and Israel.
guess
And
what? It ain't happening.
well,
And
I
that's
don't,
and the problem is everybody goes, well, vote them out. You can't vote them out. I mean, the proof is in the pudding in so many places where, people have tried to vote people out and it just hasn't worked. We just can't seem to get it done.
yeah.
And the reality of
And
it
they
is
rely on that. I believe they know that and they rely on that. That's why they're able to get away with what they get away with.
of course,
Hmm.
and it's great for them and it's not great for us
Yeah.
because, in the long run, we're being subjected to, rules by the king.
Hmm.
Okay. King rules. We're all subservient to that. We're all serf. We're not real people. We don't
Yeah.
count.
Yeah.
As long as we're putting
That's
money in
sad.
there, they could care less.
That's sad. It
And
really is.
and the sad part about it is what do we do about it? What can we
Well,
do?
it's like really our options are very limited. We vote them out. Well, the odds of being able to get enough people together to agree that Joe Schmo should not be in you know whatever office that he's in anymore. The odds of that happening are so few and far between that
Well,
and they
like,
rely
okay,
on that. They know that.
say for instance, what's coming up in 2026? We've got midterm elections. And what are we going to do about it? Okay. So we've got all these Democrat elected officials who have flown down to Venezuela to rescue a criminal.
How much you want to
Now,
bet they get reelected?
they're going to get reelected. I
That's
mean, you could run
disgusting.
somebody against them and say, here's
Disgusting.
what I would do is, do you want me to protect you or do you want me to protect the criminal? Here's my opponent. He wants to protect the criminal. He wants that criminal in your backyard, your next door neighbor, seeing your daughter and your son every day and wondering what he could do to them.
Mm.
You could run a commercial like that, and 90% of the people in their district would still vote for him.
Yeah, that guy's lying. Don't believe him.
Yeah, exactly. And they would make up, the press would come out, if you were like Martin Frost right now in Florida is one of those people that is so woke, it's unbelievable. And
Hmm.
he's the one that flew down to Venezuela to try and get this guy out. Another one of them. He's a Florida congressman. That guy should be
Wow.
kicked out of office in a heartbeat.
So
But
now,
really,
now this guy's coming back, right? They're
right.
bringing him back, and they're going to try him for human trafficking, for domestic violence, and something else.
Uh,
And there's not a single apology from any of these guys for spending our money because they did it on our money. They didn't spend their own private money to go down there. They spent our money to go down there and come back and try to get this guy out. Not a single apology from any of them to say, you know what, we were wrong. No.
exactly. Nor will they ever say that. The reality of it is we're never going to get an apology later on from anybody saying, hey, oh, we screwed up. We just cost the taxpayers more money.
Yeah.
And, but we're doing what, everybody's entitled to their due process. Only
No, that's wrong.
citizens, only
That's wrong.
citizens.
Yeah, it's not everybody. If you enter this country breaking the law, you don't have any due process rights, pal. You broke
No.
the law coming into the country. Give me a break.
And that's what the Democrats keep pushing. Oh, due process for every citizen. They keep missing that point. Citizen is a legal citizen of the United States, not a
Yeah.
legal citizen of Venezuela. We don't have any rights in Venezuela. Why should they have rights up here that they're not
It's
U.S.
amazing.
citizens?
There was I don't know if you saw this. I think it happened earlier today or late yesterday. ICE went in California. ICE went to arrest some people, and an entire what did they call them? A whole group of people. They had a name for them. I can't remember what it was. A whole group of people stopped them from being able to do it.
Well, they tried to stop them. They arrested
They didn't
40.
get everybody, right?
Well, they got 40 people.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, why are these people stopping this? What here's the
mentally
problem.
deranged. I really believe that they're mentally lacking somewhere upstairs, Jerry. I really
No,
do.
they're being paid.
Yeah,
They're being
doubt
paid.
that.
I'll give you a prime example. Right now, I'm working with the guy that's going to become the president of Panama a lot. Panama is undergoing horrific protests now. Well, we found out just recently that why these protests are going on against the government and against the contract that Pete Hegseth signed with Panama about the Panama Canal is because they're being funded by Iran, Cuba, and Venezuela.
Wow.
And they're trying to overthrow the Panamanian government to take control of the Panama Canal. And if they do that, what do you think that's going to affect to our commerce?
They won't be able to get away with that. Trump won't stand for that.
Exactly, but right now it's going on right down there right now, this very instance. So I talked to a congressman yesterday. They kidnapped a U.S. citizen 2 days ago, a woman, and were holding her hostage. And so I called Corey Mills, congressman in Texas, and a great guy. I'm telling you, he is a great congressman. I want him to be the senator that's going to be coming up here in the seat in the next 2 years, to be the next senator in Texas or in Florida. But he jumped right on the bandwagon immediately and said, let me know. I will bring a team down there myself because he's ex-military and we will get her back. And fortunately, I worked with the district attorney down there and who's going to be, hopefully going to be the next president. And we got the police to go in and save the woman and pull her out. So it was, this is what's going on in other countries. And Panama is is a key connection between us because of the, Panama Canal and the material that goes through the Panama Canal.
The guy that you are working with, is he on friendly relations with the United States, or is he not on friendly?
No, he's on real good friends. He wants to make Panama great again, just like the United States. So he and his name is Carlos Sanad Espino, and great guy. We're going to try and get him elected. And I want, if you've got listeners that can call their congressman, tell them that I'm trying to bring him up to Washington to meet with Corey Mills and Michael Cloud, who's a congressman in Texas, and Wesley Hunt, who's another congressman from Texas. And I was going to meet with John Cornyn, but John Cornyn is not on my good list lately. And but I'm trying to get them to meet with him so they can get U.S. support for him when he becomes president. He'll work in correlation with the United States to make it good. He wants me on his cabinet to help correct, make Panama a really good country. And the problem has been the presidents of there have bled the country, dry with all the money that they were taking out. and there's natural resources down there that I know about that I uncovered when I was living down there. A huge oil field off the coast of Panama that's not
Wow.
being tapped. So I told him, I said, we need to go tap that oil refinery. And I've got friends in Houston that will do the drilling for him to drill the oil in Panama. And that would make Panama an incredibly wealthy
Wow.
country. Then we want to make Panama the center hub for conflict resolution between all the Americas, being Canada, United States, all the Central America countries, Colombia, Venezuela, anything in the Americas, to try and have a central point for resolving disputes. So the
Wow.
goal is he has some admirable goals, and we need to, push him. Matter of fact, I'd like to get him on the show one night to talk about what he's trying to do in Panama.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
he's a great guy,
Yeah.
and he'd be a good source to have some. Matter of fact, I'll talk to him, see if I can't get him on next weekend.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so we can start doing stuff like that. Then I'm gonna, I'll tell Corey Mills and I'll tell Michael Cloud to watch the show as well, and maybe they can chime in as well. I don't know. That's kind of hard to get them pay
Yeah.
attention a lot of times. They're pretty busy.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know you were involved with. I think you did mention it to me. Now that you've mentioned that you say it, I think you did mention it to me a while back.
Yeah, I mean, I've known Carlos. I've known Carlos for 20 years. He and I go back because when I ran for Congress, there was a guy in Panama that just hammered me unmercifully and made stuff up. And we found the reason he was doing that is because I found out he was money laundering for the ACU, which is a terrorist organization in Colombia that were kidnapping children. And if the parents wouldn't let the children go, they would cut the heads of the children off in front of them with a chainsaw.
Oh my God.
It's really dangerous. So this guy was money laundering for them. I brought it to light and spread it out, put it on the internet, was trying to get attention to him. And then Carlos was the district attorney at the time. He was going to go prosecute him and get him thrown in jail. And he skipped the country, but after hammering me on my campaign. And then the press in Dallas, posted his story, which was all phony, but it affected me on my campaign. And then he goes to New York, skips out of Panama before we can prosecute him, goes to New York, and now as we get him fired from his company in New York, and fired from another company, now he's disappeared off the face of the earth. We think he stole money from the ACU, and they found him. So anyway.
Wow. Not lucky for him.
Yeah,
Right.
Absolutely. So I'll get Carlos on for next week. And you want to take a break here?
Yeah, I want to take a break. I got to get a refill on my cup.
Okay.
And, I got to visit the men's room anyway, so it's catching up to me. The coffee that I drank earlier is catching up to me. All right, don't go away, guys. I appreciate you hanging in there with us. We'll be back in a few minutes. Won't be very long. Let me see if I can get this thing to work here.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show. We'll be right back.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill.
I can't help but look around and feel like things are getting out of hand. We've been told to trust the science, but the science just doesn't make sense. They say it isn't mandatory, but they also say you jab or you drop. But if it doesn't stop the spread, it makes it feel like this is just a facade. What about the healthcare workers? What about the frontline nurses? How quickly we forget that they were working 18 hours a day. What about informed consent? What about due diligence? It seems a country that I used to call home is surely slipping away. I can't help but look around and feel like minds are slowly starting to change. Cause even if you're triple vaccinated, know that segregation isn't the way. Freedom is a choice and it's available to all if we choose. But first things first, you gotta turn off the news. Yo, what about the healthcare workers? What about the frontline nurses? How quickly we forget that they were working 18 hours a day. What about informed consent? What about due diligence? It seems the country that I used to call home is surely slipping away. If you're late to the party, there's plenty room at the table. This side don't discriminate. I'm calling on every single man, woman, child if they're able. It's time to take the streets and liberate. But please don't be a part of the problem, staying willfully ignorant, cause there's just way too much at stake. Yo, it's okay to change your mind, you can admit you were wrong, cause where there's perfect love, there ain't no shame. Heavenly Father, show me what I don't understand yet. I got my marching orders, I don't fully know the plan yet. Hold on to my Bible before bed, no it ain't banned yet. Did you know the makers of the vaccine make the Xanax? I would never lean on corporations for morality, cause they put their profits over people for their salaries. Know they wanna make you bend the knee for your normality. I know you feeling all alone, but in reality, there's way more of us than them. 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 That's the truth. There's way more of us than them. There's way more of us than them. There's way more of us. There's way more of us than them.
And we're back. Hope you didn't go too far, because we have more interesting and thought-provoking information for you coming up on the Red Pill Reality Show.
All right, we are back. Let me get the camera working again. I don't know why it does that. All right, Jerry, I see you on, I guess you're on your phone and your computer.
I'm trying to get rid of one. Hold on. Let me shut this one down.
Yep, kick that back for a minute. I'm getting some feedback. Let's try,
I'll get rid of it. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, well, I'm getting echo. Echo. That's because you got your phone on.
There we go. Okay, now we're in one camera.
Yeah.
Much better. Can you hear me okay?
You're a little weak on the, I can turn your volume up. Let's see. All right, say something to me. Now I can't hear you at all. Where'd you go? Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
Oh, you lost me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Yep, I'm going to turn your mic up a little bit, but yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on for a second. Let me turn it up a little bit or get it close to my mouth. How's that?
That's better. There we go.
Okay, we're good now. Okay, so anyway, I changed my camera because I was having it wasn't working earlier, so now I'm shooting part of the ceiling. So hopefully you'll cope with me on that. But you know, we've seen so many things change in the last few years, and are we going to see more of the same stuff? We're going to see more crap going on.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with I'm just concerned about what's going to happen in the future to our kids.
Yeah, for my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah, and that's going to be the real issue. It's going to be our kids that are going to suffer.
Not to be redundant and go back to it, but what you said, it may take years to get this system in place, but we won't be around. I don't think it's going to be a direct threat to us in our generation, but my kids or my grandkids are going to have to deal with this.
That's the problem. The reality of it is, it's going to be our children that are going to be the lobsters in the boiling pot.
Yeah.
They're never going to see it happen. It'll already be on the top of them, and that's the problem. It's the gradual changing of our lifestyle, which has happened over the years. Okay, you look back over the years, you think about all the transitions we made. Women didn't have a right to vote in the early 1900s. African Americans didn't have the right to marry at all until the 40s, and then they weren't allowed to interracially marry until the 60s. And some states still have that law in place. They're just not doing anything about it. But have we grown and progressed? Yes. Will we grow and progress more? Yes. As we learn, we're constantly improving. But we're also realizing we've got to control people, because you look at the Black Lives Matter movement is another issue that's concerned, is because it really wasn't about helping the blacks in society. It was about getting as much money as they could and redirecting that money to the Democratic Party. And we saw companies just pouring millions and millions of dollars into that BLM. And when I was in Washington, there was a huge BLM flag covering the whole side of the ACLU, promoting that. They changed one of the streets to Black Lives Matter streets.
Oh, geez.
Heading to the Capitol. I mean, and then you look in Florida, they painted Black Lives Matter on the streets. And then, you know what happened? The next day, blacks went in over and sprayed over it. It's like, wait a minute. I thought you were liking this.
And there was like 3 women, right, that were leading that.
Yeah,
I remember something happened to some of them. They were found guilty or something, laundering money.
They were destroying public property because the city had painted that in the downtown Orlando street. So it was city property. So they were damaging city property material, and which is just a friggin' joke in the first place. They should have never put that in the streets in the first place. The minute you start advocating for one side over the other, that's what destroys America. It should be, we're all equal. Okay, I made a comment about that, how whites recently have started disappearing off questionnaires. It's now other. And so I made that on a TikTok statement, and the guy says, well, we deserve to be erased. I'm like, what? We deserve to be erased? Oh, yes, because of all the injustices white people have done over the centuries. Mm-hmm. We deserve to be erased. And this was a white guy saying this. I'm going like, and then I had another one that he got on there. He goes, well, I know you're racist if you think all lives matter. I'm going, what? I'm racist because all lives matter? And it's just amazing.
There are people who I believe are delusional. They're just there's a scripture in the Bible. I think it's in Thessalonians. I don't remember the particular number, but it says something basically that says, because they believe the lie, God has brought a delusion upon them, and the lie that they believe is the system that we're in. The stuff that they refuse to look at and see what's going on, but they will carry the water for them, even to death in some cases.
I'm trying to see if I can find this where it was. It was, I'll see if I can't find it, but it was, this guy's video was unbelievable. The guy said what had happened. He'd taken a guy's video, says, what makes you think all whites are racist? And he goes, I'm going to list all the things that make you racist. The first one is when you say all lives matter. First thing. I was like, I don't think that that's racist. I think that's saying
that's as close to anti-racist as you can get.
Exactly.
All lives matter. When you say Black Lives Matter, that really is a racist statement. You're saying that Black Lives Matter, meaning that people are perceiving that as a Black life is more important than someone else's life.
Exactly. And that's where it was kind of funny, because here's this guy saying, and I felt like responding back to him. I said, so if somebody walked up and shot you or shot your wife or your children, it wouldn't matter to you. And, of course, then they go ballistic. You're a killer. Now you're threatening me. And I was like, no, my question was asked, if somebody hurt your family, would they be considered racist just because they hurt your family? And would you mind, since you don't care, that all lives matter? And of course, he doesn't have a response to that. He blocked me. Go figure.
Wow.
So hold on. I was trying to find this thing. It was pretty interesting. But they are, let's see, Lost Love. I think it was.
This comes from the Matrix, and this show is basically the red pill comes from the movie The Matrix, and this is Neo being told by can't think of his name now. Telling him that you have to understand that most of these people. Yeah. Well, Neo, and then the other guy. I can't think of the other
guy. Yeah, I can't remember his name either.
Not Morpheus, maybe.
Morpheus. That's it.
So he's telling him, you have to understand that most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. So to me, what they're telling us here is, you have to understand that most of these people are not ready to be awakened. They're not ready to have to face the fact. And so many of them are so independent, so dependent upon the system. They're so hopelessly lost that they'll even fight to protect the system and never question. It's like I said earlier, it's just like they're in a delusion. They're delusional. They're not in reality that we're living in.
And that's the problem out there is we have so many people that can't think for themselves.
By design. I think this is all by design. It's
exactly.
A combination of the fluoride in the water, the toxins in our food and our air, all by design to dumb us down, to keep us smart enough to turn the wheel to the right, turn the wheel to the left, but never question, why are we turning the wheel to begin with?
Exactly. And that's the real problem out there is we don't know what's really going on. And as long as they can keep us ignorant keep us in the dark about everything, then they're the ones in control.
Yep. And when you have control over the media, and I think it was Obama that made a executive order that said the media, prior to this, the media could not tell you lies. The media could not be used as a propaganda machine prior to that. And then Obama came in office, he made all of that available to them.
Exactly. Yeah, he said, that's okay. You can lie. I mean, because he's Muslim.
Huh.
And a Muslim.
I just saw another article about his birth certificate, which I've known this for years. So another article has popped up now that says there's evidence, documented evidence, that was born in Kenya. And that means that he wasn't really qualified to be the president, which should mean that everything that he implemented should not be implemented.
Exactly.
That'll happen?
No, not at all. It's like, okay, the auto pen deal with Biden.
Yeah.
Are they going to do anything about it? Nope. We're not going to see
a lot of talk, but I don't see anything happening.
No, and we won't see anything happen. It's going to be what it is now and what it will be in the future. Nobody's going to do anything. There's no accountability for anything you do.
Exactly right.
Unless you're a private citizen.
Yeah.
And then
even with the new administration, this was one of the things I was expecting, I guess maybe a way to put it. I thought, in my limited knowledge and my ignorant mind, I thought, well, when Trump gets in, he's going to put in he's tired of this crap, and he's going to put in people. They're going to take care of business. And when I say take care of business, what I mean are people like Adam Schiff, people like Schumer, people like Pelosi, people like Clinton are finally going to face justice. Stupid me, I guess, but I really believe that that's what's going to happen. I can see it. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
it's going to happen.
Okay. First of all, imagining yourself trying to manage everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have enough
I thought
time.
this would be a priority for him.
Well,
You know?
the priority is he's trying to get the economy back up and running. So he's
That's
trying to
another
work.
thing.
Yeah,
Has
he's
gas
trying.
gone down where you're at, by the way, while we're
Yeah,
talking about it?
yeah, it has. And
Gas, gas actually went up here.
Okay, in Houston, it's down to $1.95.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so it's going down. It just depends on the area you're in.
Yeah.
And so, when you're looking at what we're doing and what's happening out there, everything's starting to change a little bit.
So
But-
let me go back to the gas for a second. Is that something that's a direct comparison all over the place? What are you paying for? What do they pay for a gallon?
I'm paying for premium. I paid $3.65 today.
Yeah, that's premium. What about regular? Because not everybody uses premium.
It's $3.05.
Okay, so we're $3.15. So
okay, and that it was at $4 a gallon when Biden was in office.
we never got that. We got pretty high, but we never got that high. Wow.
Okay.
So
But-
this is another expectation of mine. I thought, well, drill, baby, drill. Maybe it takes a while to get it all to show up at the pump, but I'm thinking, well, drill, baby, drill. We're going to start seeing gas prices drop right away. If the gas prices drop, that means the diesel prices will drop. That means the cost of the truckers will go down. That
Okay,
should,
but here's the problem with all that thought process. First of all, we're expecting it to happen overnight. Well, okay, how long does it take to find a drill well, an oil well? Okay, and how long does it take to drill it? Okay, that's months.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Jerry. I thought all that they already had that, and Biden stopped it. Am I mistaken?
Yes, you are mistaken, because what he did is he closed down all those oil wells.
Uh-huh.
To reopen those oil wells, a lot of those companies went out of business. Okay, so we have to find the oil companies that can go back in and revitalize the wells.
Mm-hmm.
And so that all takes some time. We're all impatient, and we all want it now because we thought it was going to happen now. The reality of it is, like we talked about, litigation happening. Okay, it's got to go. It's got to happen. The police have to arrest them. It has to go to a district attorney. Then it has to go to the grand jury. Then it goes back to the prosecuting attorney. That doesn't happen in one day. Those things can take months, if not years. And so here we are we're all out there impatient as heck going, what happened here? And why aren't we getting to see this and happen? I mean, this is supposed to be happening right now, today.
Now they're reporting that inflation is down. I don't remember the last number. It was down considerably since the Biden administration left. So if that's the case, why aren't we seeing a reflection on just the overall cost of everything?
Well, because I found the video. The guy's name is not Stanley Tucci. And if you pull him up, he criticizes everybody.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on TikTok.
Oh.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up where he was attacking this guy for talking about, he just attacks everybody. And I think he was a former actor at some place, but he's a diehard liberal, and he just attacks everybody. Okay, and I want to find him on. He's got he just attacks everybody. Oh, here it is. Here's things white people say that let you know they're racist.
That white people say.
This is what he says.
They're low-key racist.
Funny you should ask. I have a list.
Okay, here's his list.
Matter.
All lives matter is racist.
Race baiting.
Race baiting. Politically correct.
Correct. Race card.
Race card. Reverse racism.
Reverse racism. Black on black crime.
Black on black crime. I'm not racist, but.
Not a racist, but Identity politics.
Identity politics. These are all things that this guy is advocating.
White History Month.
White History Month. Why don't we have a White History Month?
Yeah. We have a Black History Month.
Yeah.
Heritage, not
Heritage. This guy is just going off the deep end.
Black person, can I touch your hair?
Saying to a black person, can I touch your hair? I mean,
black person, you're so articulate.
Oh, you're so articulate. Saying that to a black person.
Focusing on the criminal activity of a victim when a black person is killed by a cop.
Okay, focusing on blaming the victim when a police officer is killed by a criminal. Is this not ludicrous?
There was a story that I read. I don't know what state this happened in, but these boys two brothers and a friend of the two brothers broke into this man's house. They were armed, and he shot and killed all three of them. The parents of the boys are suing the man because he didn't have any right to kill their kids just because they were trying to steal from him. And believe it or not, it is in court. I don't know how it ever got to court.
Well,
they were armed. They broke in the front. He's got it on video. It shows the video. They literally kick in the front door, and they have guns in their hands ready to go. And he starts yelling and screaming and firing. And sadly for them, all three of them lost their lives. But their parents can't come to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? They shouldn't have been doing what they were doing to begin with. No,
well,
we're going to sue this guy.
This happened to a friend of mine. She was a realtor in Houston, and she was going to show a house. So what happened is her husband says, I just got a bad feeling. I'm going to go with you. So she had this appointment set up with the guy that had called her. And so she goes to the house. Her husband's outside, and the guy that's taking a look at the house doesn't know he's outside. So he starts raping this guy's wife in the house. And she starts screaming. The guy comes in and beats the living daylights out of him, calls the police. He gets arrested, gets thrown in prison. And he sues her husband for assault.
Wow.
He goes into a big lawsuit, and they have to hire lawyers to defend themselves. Wow. And here he was protecting his wife.
Wow.
But he got sued, and it almost to the point that he almost had to pay. And
there was a case, I don't know, this was about 5-6 years ago. Somebody's breaking into a house. They were trying to get in through the attic, and they slipped and they fell through the ceiling, and they fell on the floor, and they broke some ribs and hurt their back or something. Or got arrested, ended up suing the homeowner's insurance policy.
Right.
And got money. And
right.
This is just crazy.
That happens all the time out there. Is the problem is the injustice of what we're having happen out there. Okay, think about the people that go into grocery stores, take a jar of pickles and throw it on the floor, and then trip and fall on that and say, it's your fault. And this happens all the time. We've become suit happy because we're not responsible for ourselves anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the reality.
Everything is subject to litigation. That sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, people just want money. That's what they want.
It's the love of money.
Exactly.
The love of money is the root of all evil. People say, money is the root of it. It's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money. It's the love of the greed. They worship money. And sadly, many of these corporations, that it's very difficult to get something and not profit them in some way because they own so very many things. They have become so greedy, but they will say, oh no, this is inflation. That's a bunch of baloney. They're showing the highest profits, I don't know, in decades that these guys are making. So instead of reducing their profits and lowering the prices to the general public, they continue to increase the prices. And then they think that we're like, we're really stupid because we don't know that they've changed the size of the packaging of some of the foods. So, what used to get, maybe 14 ounces of something before, and say it was $1.25 for 14 ounces. Now they make the container maybe a little thinner and a little taller, so it looks like it's about the same. But instead of being $1, $1.25, now it's $1.75, and you don't realize you're actually getting less and paying more.
Well, you look at also the size of products. I remember moon pies used to be this big.
Yeah.
Now they're this big.
Yeah.
And you look at a hamburger now, you go into Wendy's and you want to go, where's the beef?
Do you remember one of Burger King's favorite sayings was, "It takes two hands to handle a Whopper"? Do you remember that?
Exactly.
Give me a break. And it was. I can tell you at one time that sandwich was a big hamburger at one time. That was a seriously big hamburger. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Everything is shrunk down. You look at, okay, this is always the other funny thing. I went in the grocery store the other day to get a box of cereal, and the boxes are huge, but they're this thick.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
it was like the boxes used to be that big.
The actual weight has gone down.
Yeah, exactly. And you open up the bag, and if it's shuffled down, it's like
it's a third air.
Yeah,
a third of it is air.
Like, gee, this is really special.
They've been doing that right and left and center. A lot of the whatever it might be hand soap, it might be something or another. You look at the bottom of the container. The bottom of the container has a slight curve to it.
Yeah.
Even Irish Spring. That's another one that I noticed.
Irish Spring. I've got them in my.
Got a curve. So why does it have the curve to it? Because it's cheaper to make.
Exactly. It doesn't take the whole bar of soap, but it's a catchy thing, and it's good for your arm because you can rub it on your arm real easy.
Yeah.
And and it smells good. But you know what they say to do with Irish Spring is grind it up and throw it in your yard, and it kills bugs.
Oh wow!
It's a great fertilizer.
Wow!
It's a great deterrent for bugs.
Wow!
So if you shred it up and throw it in your yard, it deters any kind of chinch bugs or anything like that.
I had no idea. That's crazy. And we're washing our bodies with it.
Yeah, exactly. Killing the chinch bugs and us as well. But it's been, didn't we? The show was supposed to start about Trump and Elon.
Mm-hmm.
Now I wanted to talk a little bit about that. My take on it is this: Trump and Elon are really, really smart people. Okay.
I agree.
And my belief is they've planned this whole thing. Okay. And to get Elon back in the good graces of the Democrats as a potential spy for Trump. Now think about this. If you want to plant somebody in the enemy's camp, you make them the enemy. And then all of a sudden, and guess what just happened? Chuck Schumer. We're inviting Elon back into our tent.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just happened. An announcement the other day. We're at 100%.
Wow.
Okay, so
that's a new twist. That was because I was saying earlier, what if this whole thing is a setup, like you're saying, and the purpose of the setup is to get the complete release of all the Epstein files? Because if the Democrats think that Trump's name is in the Epstein files, which again it is one time, but if they think of something nefarious in it they can use on him, oh my God, let's release them all. Let's find out right away.
But and think about this. What's happened now is all of a sudden Elon Musk and Teslas have become the great child again of the Democratic Party. So if Trump has not, they had that feud for a couple of days and then it just stopped. And so
I haven't heard any more recently.
Exactly. And Trump's downplaying it now. And if like I say, if you want to get a spy into the enemy's camp, make him your enemy.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And so, Elon Musk can go in there and be welcomed into the Democratic Party and start saying, let me consult you on what we need to do because I know all this stuff that Trump was doing so we can plot against him. And then he goes back to Trump and tells them what they're planning and Trump kills it.
That's awesome.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's a thought, and so sure enough, Schumer went right out and said, we're welcoming Elon back into our tent. I was just laughing my butt off going like, yeah, you idiots.
See, now, in my mind, I didn't think about that. But I was thinking to myself, he'll never go back to the Democrats because he saw what the Democrats did to Trump, and then the Democrats know that he turned on them, in turned against them and for Trump. So he would never go back for the Democrats because they saw what they did to Trump. They'll do the same thing, or maybe even worse, to him if they ever get in power. So I mean, that was my thought.
Well,
but I didn't think about what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
the thought process here is also thinking about this. Elon has billions of dollars. Does it really matter? He only owns 12% of Tesla.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really matter what Tesla does, in the long run. And he'll make his money back because now he's got the Democrats on his side buying his bloody Teslas again. And so pushing Tesla. So he accomplished what he wanted to do. And Trump, and guess what? Okay, he can slam dunk, complain completely all about the big, beautiful bill. But guess what? It's going to pass. Because all they need is 51 senatorial votes. They don't need a majority. They don't need 60 votes to pass that bill. They only need 51.
Beautiful bill is another thing that I'm not happy with. There's all kinds of work in it.
Okay, let
ahead.
me put it this way.
Yep.
There's all kinds of work and crap in every bill. Okay,
But I thought we were going to stop that.
Well,
right?
it's not.
Didn't he say that we're going to have one item per bill or something like that? Or
They tried to do that, but it never happens because you always have somebody going, well, I want this in the bill. I want this in the bill. And then, of course, that balances out with somebody saying, okay, well, you got your benefit in the last bill, so I want my benefit in this bill.
Mm-hmm.
And this bill can pass with, extra stuff in there. And there's extra stuff in there. Here's the thing that, everybody's complaining about. It's going to cost us $3 trillion more. Okay. What are we paying for in that $3 trillion? Advanced military protection, pay for the military. Also, to complete the wall is in there. So you take a look at those two things alone. It's the depletion of the Department of Education is to dismantle that. So the money's going for really good things but everybody's going, well, it's all you can hear is we're spending $3 trillion more. Well, they're not telling you what they're spending the money on. And the money's going for military pay. Don't you think that's a good thing? I mean, really? Don't you think we should pay the military more money? I think so. And I think
we didn't get paid spit when I was in service.
Right. And that's the problem. It's the same problem in Panama that I'm talking to Carlos about is the police pay down there is horrible. It's like $6 a day.
Oh, wow.
It's horrible. So I told him we need to bring it up to American standards, $15 or $20 a day for the police down there. That way they won't be corrupt. I mean, I hate to say this, but to get anything done in Panama, you had to bribe people all the time because they don't make any money. So they would stop you on the road to extort money from you and wouldn't let you go until you paid them.
Oh, God.
And it's because they're not making any money and they're trying to feed a family. I cut a deal with a police officer. The first time he stopped me, I said, I don't speak Spanish. He goes, well, I speak English. And I said, great. He goes, you were speeding. And I said, okay, what's the fine? What's the local fine? And I said, well, here's $10. And he goes, okay, you can go.
Wow.
So I kept going through that town all the time and he'd stop me. And I finally said, I'll tell you what, why don't we work out a deal? When I'm in a hurry, let me go and don't stop me. And I said, when I'm not in a hurry, I'm going to stop and I'm going to give you some money and help with your family. Is that a deal? And he goes, sounds great to me. And so that's what I do. I'd stop once a month and I give him some money or give him some groceries or something for his family. And we became really good friends.
Wow.
And Carlos is a really good man. He's going to be a great president. And so it's fun to know that you never know who your friends might turn out to be later on in life. Because when he called me and he says, I'm running for politics. And I was like, man, what are you doing? Running city council or something down there? He goes, no, president of Panama. I'm like, whoa. So he's been sending me all these videos of what's going on down there. He sent me a pretty gross one the other day where a woman got her arm almost shot off with a shotgun from the protesters. But so, going through life, you never know who you might meet. and what benefits might come from it. I had no idea this guy's going to become president of a country that I might have an impact on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of cool. And so,
do you think that I'll go back to Musk and Trump for a minute. Do you think that any of what Musk is saying is not legitimate? I can't think of the right word. He's just out of emotion. Do you think that he?
Well, first of all,
you said earlier that they could be putting on an act. Okay.
Well, here's
it's not an act? What if because he said it was really stupid of him to say, oh well, the reason they're not releasing Epstein is because Trump's name it. Right?
No, and we don't know that wasn't hacked or done by somebody else. We don't know that because you know how many fake Elon Musk files there are out there.
Yeah.
Profiles. Okay, you're gonna love this. There are more fake profiles out there. I thought I was actually talking to the governor of Texas for 2 months on Facebook. So we're carrying on this conversation, and finally I got smart. I said, "How do you know me?" And he goes, we met. I was like, "Where did we meet? How do you know me?"
Yeah.
And so finally he kept making these excuses. So I finally called the governor's office and I said, "Got a question to ask you. How many fake profiles are out there for the governor?" He goes, "Oh my God, so many." I said, "Does he ever respond to any Facebook profiles?" "No." And I went, "So it's all fake?" "Yeah." Well, guess what? I got Trump's son, Donald Trump, emailing me. "Oh, we're having this great conversation. What would you suggest we do?" It was a scam. So that's the problem out there. How many people are creating these fake profiles and then sending this stuff out as if it's gospel? We don't know. So that's what I think is happening with Elon Musk and Epstein. I don't think it was Epstein or Elon Musk that put that out there. I really don't believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that Trump and him are putting on a show. I really believe that because I don't think
I've read probably 5 or 6 different articles that kind of tune along that line that this is a makeup.
And again, if you want,
I didn't think about what you said earlier though.
The spy in the nest.
Yeah.
You know, most people haven't thought about that. It's a great thing to do.
Didn't think about that at all.
Yeah, wow. I mean, make him your enemy, and all of a sudden, he becomes your friend. Because
I thought maybe they were doing it as an, for what it's worth. I thought maybe they're doing it as an act because he was getting so much negative feedback from his card, his dealerships and stuff are getting it. Even though he's only 12%, people don't see that 12%. They see, oh, that electric car, that's Elon, burn it up, that kind of thing. So I was thinking maybe Trump was telling him that it's time to go anyway, and so
well, it just fit into place all too well.
Yeah.
And then again, I think that Elon Musk is probably a spy for Trump, for the Democratic Party.
Well,
and you think about it because
what a move.
Yeah, what a great concept. And if we start putting that out there, guess what's going to happen? Oh my God, we can't trust Elon again. So guess what? That's going to force him right back into the Trump campaign. So you got to look at the whole scenario here. If we start this rumor that Elon's a spy in the Democratic Party, then what's that going to do? That's going to freak the Democratic Party out, going, oh my God, he might be. Yeah. He might be. So what do we tell him and what don't we tell him? Do we welcome in our tent or we don't? We don't know. The confusion is just the best part. That's that distraction and redirect.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So we have just started.
I did not ever consider that,
I mean,
I did think along the line that it could be put on. It just seems like because they were so buddy.
Well, they're really good friends and they've gone through a lot together. And so I think that this was a show because it was short-lived, very short-lived. And then the Epstein came out, and I don't believe for a minute that Elon leaked that. I don't believe that for a minute. I truly believe that somebody hacked his account or made up a phony account and put that out there. A Democrat. Think about that.
So with the Epstein thing, both Cash and Dan both said that they believe he killed himself, and that raised a. Well, no, let me back up a minute. Both said that the records show. They didn't say they believed. Well, yeah, I guess they did say before it was all over. I think they did say, but they said that the records show. That's what's in the record. That's what we read, and that's what they believe that he did commit suicide.
Who are you talking about?
Epstein? Cash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Said Epstein committed suicide?
Yeah.
I find that.
This is another thing,
First of all, Cash Patel and them are going to cover the story up too, okay? Because they can't come out and say, Bill Clinton had him killed.
Why not? I mean, this is what I was expecting from this new
We were all
administration.
expecting the reality.
They're going to make a stand for what's true and what's right,
But
I'm
the reality of it is, it's never going to come to that. It's never going to. The reality is, can they let that come out? No. They really can't let that come out. It's like, why don't they show us the truth about UFOs? Here's the logic.
I don't think they're going to have much when it comes to that subject. I don't think they're going to have much of a choice soon. I think they're going to be so many of them here.
Okay,
I talked
but
to a friend of mine who is not really a UFOologist, but he follows that stuff very closely, and he claims to have been contacted by them telepathically throughout his life. And he was told not too long ago that they are coming, and they're coming in numbers, and there's no way that they're going to be able to hide.
Okay, but here's the whole point. Here's what we've been doing. Again, it's a gradual inoculation or indoctrination of aliens to us. They've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if they just showed up one day without us being prepped for it, it'd be chaos in the world.
Yeah.
So now we're anticipating it. We're expecting it. So when it happens, it's not going to be such a shock to everybody. So it's a gradual indoctrination to aliens. Do I believe there's aliens? Of course I do. And the reason being is, you look at the mass of the universe, and to assume we're the only intelligent beings
silly. Yeah.
in the entire universe,
it's just silly.
Astronomically incorrect. Now, also too, those stargates have been found all throughout the world, in the world. I don't know if they've been able to get them to work, but they have found them in Egypt. And if you look at, and now also later, they just recently uncovered under the pyramids of Egypt, all this scientific stuff underneath there.
Yeah.
And
the Stargates, if I'm not mistaken, I think they found one in either Iran or Iraq, and maybe it was Iraq, in a cave. And the men were working around it, and all of a sudden some men disappeared. Some soldiers disappeared. And they didn't want to report. Only the people that were left made a report about it, but they didn't want it to go public.
Well,
they also found in Iraq, I'm almost sure it was Iraq. I don't know. Either Afghanistan or Iraq, one of the two. They found a giant, a live giant. And this guy came out of the cave and speared one of the soldiers before they killed him. And then we're told to take him to, I think to Right Pat, I think is where they ended up taking him.
Well, yeah, I hadn't heard about that. I've seen where they've uncovered. I've seen where they've uncovered, giant bones. But that was part of. That's why we all in our society, anybody who is tall is revered as being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They could be complete morons, but as long as they're tall, we have a tendency to look up to them. Literally.
Do you think that's why the guy from Texas, the short guy, I can see his face and I can't think of his name.
Perot?
Perot, yeah, Ross Perot. Do you think that's why because he was a short guy?
He was a short guy, but you've got here's you look at Napoleon. Okay, you talk about
Napoleon was a short guy, right?
Napoleon syndrome is a syndrome for short people compensating because they're short. So that's a psychological division, you might say, of where, they have a complex, and because they're short, they overcompensate. And Ross Perot was one. You look, Napoleon was another one, and there's been throughout history, short people that have gained power. And
so Donald Trump is what, 6 feet 2 inches or something
like that. So he's tall.
He's a tall guy. And
So
his son, this guy's like 6'7", I think his son.
Yeah.
is.
So people respect that. They look at people as tall people as now. Where does that stem from? Okay, that stems from apparently there used to be giants all over the world.
Yeah.
And now were they aliens? Don't know. I like that commercial on the what is it, the eye commercial where the guy says, "Are these of alien design?" And no, I think they're just made in Des Moines. And so
this giant that they found, they estimated that he was 18 feet tall.
Okay.
This guy.
Okay. Did he speak English? Could they communicate with him, or was he alive?
No, they said they were on patrol. They came up to a cave, and before they knew it, this giant came running out of the cave, speared one of them, and before he could do any other damage, they filled him full of blood and brought him down.
Well, they shouldn't have done that. Should have captured him.
I don't think it would have been able to capture this. At 18 feet tall, this guy is probably stronger than 50 men.
Yeah, well, can you imagine a guy that got speared?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So
they never let that go public. There's a lot of stuff there. Did you know that? And I'm fairly certain what I'm going to tell you is accurate. Did you know that our government, and I think it was during the Obama administration, purchased guillotines? 32,000 guillotines. Our government has hiding somewhere.
Well,
I saw pictures of them.
The other thing is they have concentration camps all over the United States.
Yeah.
So those are accurate. Most of them are in Oregon. A lot of them in Oregon. And see, something else they started years ago, and I'm on this for quite some time, is they've been putting up RFID towers all over the United States over the years. And it started in Oregon primarily, and Oregon's kind of the big hub of it right now. But these RFID towers, your passport has an RFID chip in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, there's a company that started years ago. I invested in it. It's called Digital Angel. Digital Angel was a scientific company that had developed a RFID chip that was the size of the head of a pin. And it was to be injected in all the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their tracking mechanism as well as their medical record. So the first person that got injected with this was the head of the medical department of Harvard University. And he was injected with it, and the trials were successful. And here's what happened. And this is where government has taken apart. Florida and California were implementing this in newborns.
Wow.
Injecting them with these chips.
Were the parents know about it?
Parents were not notified of it. And this came to light because what I was doing, I get these news reports from the company, stock notifications coming out and say, hey, we've just developed this. We're now testing this in California and Florida, and here's what we're doing. And we've gotten approval to inject it into newborns. And they didn't say with approval of the families or anything like that. So I don't know how long that went on. Now, that company eventually got bought out. And so I don't know what happened to that company, but it was called Digital Angel. What does that mean? And I tried to keep track of that organization, but it got bought out. I don't think it's even. Let's see if it's even. Let me check something.
That's crazy. I seem to remember something like that from years back. There was a company that this is, probably 3 or 4 decades ago now, 30 or 40 years ago. There was a company out of Israel that was developing a product that was the size of what we would call a horse pill, a big pill, and that you swallow this thing, and as you swallow it, it takes pictures and all kinds of data of the inside of your body, and then when you expel it through a bowel movement, it has all of that data, and they can receive. What am I trying to say? They can get all of that data. I can't think of the right word. And tell you what's going on in your body, everything from your esophagus to your stomach to your small and large intestine. And they did quite well for quite a while there.
Yeah, I just found it, and what it basically says, I'll put it in the chat room. It said Digital Angel Corporation is a company that developed and manufactures GPS and FRID technology for various applications, including tracking pets and livestock, identifying food products, and aiding in search and rescue.
Wow.
That's what the name of the company was.
That's the sugar.
Yeah, Digital Angel Corporation. So GPS and FRID.
Wow.
Okay. And they're saying pets. Well, the first test they didn't do it on a pet. They did it on a human being. And it was the head of the hospital or the medical division of the Harvard University. And let's see if I can pull that one up.
And they're saying that the size of this thing is the size of a head of a pin?
Yep.
Wow.
Medical.
That's pretty heavy.
Well, let me see if I can pull this up. It's called a Verichip. And yeah, it's called Verichip now. Microchip implantation for human. It's called Verichip. So that's kind of scary.
That is the mark of the beast right there. That has to be the mark of the beast.
But okay, let's back up here for a second. What is the mark of the beast? What is the mark of the beast? We think it's an injection in our hand. That's not necessarily the case. If you look at history and how we've misinterpreted a lot of things, like in Ezekiel, if you look at Ezekiel says there was a fiery chariot that came down from heaven with a wheel within a wheel.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a flying saucer, baby.
So if we look at that interpretation based on his time versus our time, there's a world of difference. So I'm trying to think where I was going with that.
Welcome to my world.
Lost my train of thought there. The interpretation of our time and their time. So we look at things differently now. And so if we take the concepts that we're looking at and carry it forward, we're seeing our knowledge is based on our time frame. Okay. So we don't know if we've seen futuristic things, what would we think of them? Would we freak out, or would we? The technology is advancing so fast. By the way, this is what happened with Star Trek. When Star Trek came out, they had that bed, the medical bed, where they laid the patient on and would analyze them. The military came to them, Gene Roddenberry, and asked him where he came up with that. And he goes, why? And they said, it's top secret. And he goes, what do you mean a top secret? It's just my fantasy bringing up an idea that looks like it could be in the future. And the military, the long story was, the military had already developed that bed and was using it.
Wow.
And so this was back in the 60s.
And they have tremendous. It's a friend of mine that I was in the Air Force with for the time that I was in the Air Force. When we left, we kept contact with each other for quite some time. I shared this several times. Now, this is probably 40 years ago. We were having a conversation one time, and he was telling me that his brother and him were having a conversation, and his brother felt so stupid because he was cutting the yard, and a twig or something got caught in the lawnmower, and he reached down to pull. This was before they had these safeties on these lawnmowers, so you could start the lawnmower and keep running. You didn't have to hold on to it. And he reached down there to get the twig or whatever it was, and somehow he cut the end of his thumb off in doing this. He said, I felt so stupid. I know better. I should have turned it off, blah, 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 blah. And anyway, his brother, he was telling me about his brother one time. He said, my brother works for the government. It's so secret, I don't even know what he does. He can't even tell me what he does. So anyway, he's telling his brother how he did this to himself, and he feels so bad, blah, blah, blah. A week or so goes by, and he gets an envelope in the mail with a note. And the envelope has a small baggie in it and with some white powder in it. He said, it looks like salt almost. And the note says, put this on your thumb at least 2 times a day, the end of your thumb. So within a couple of months, I think it was a month or 45 days or so, he grew the end of his thumb back. So they had that technology to grow epiges back, a finger, probably an arm as well.
Okay.
It's existed, but there's no money in it because we're back to the cure word again.
Okay, here's what we're working on right now. I'm working with a doctor. His name is Kerry Fector. Very well known, he's a cardiologist and a respiratory doctor. And we're starting a stem cell company in the villages to provide stem cells for various different health issues, anti-aging, and all this stuff. But Kerry's working on the segment of stem cells regenerating body parts. And what the research he's doing right now is that he can take stem cells from you and inject them. Say, for instance, you've had a kidney transplant and you took a kidney out and gave it to somebody else, so you're short a kidney. His research is saying that if he injects this certain stem cells into you, you'll regrow the other kidney. So
right along that line, Japan, they're going to try to make this commercial here very short, maybe this year. They have a shot. You take this shot, and any teeth that you have that are missing, your body will regrow the teeth.
Well, that's along the same line that Kerry's working on this. With the stem cells now, we've run into some issues because I'm doing a lot of research on it, and I found a company in Panama, and it's just, I have the dumbest luck, and I know people all over. So I'm watching the video on this regenerative company in Panama that stem cells and have this beautiful lab down there. And so I'm watching their promotional videos that they've had patients give their testimonials. And so I'm watching. The second person on there is a real good friend of mine.
Wow.
She had used stem cells for her child who had cerebral palsy. So I called her and talked to her tonight, and she had told me that it had been years ago. Well, I asked her, I said, was it successful? And she said, yes and no. Now, this is years of studies now. Here's a person that got stem cell, and did it impact him? Yes, immediately impacted him. He could pick up things, his left side or his right side.
Nope. Frozen.
Yeah, pretty much frozen. Couldn't use it. And after the stem cell, he was able to use his hand to open doors, pick things up, which he couldn't do before. So I asked her, how long did it last? And she said it lasted for a few years. The problem is we needed to go back to have another infusion done, but it's $17,000 to do it.
Wow.
So it's very costly. Now, here's the other problem that comes into play with that stem cell research is that people are just blindly going and getting stem cells. The problem with that, stem cells come from umbilical cords of babies. Okay. So I asked this company representative about the stem cells, where they were getting them from. They said, oh, we're getting them from, volunteers or people were getting the umbilical cords from the first babies. And I said, you're in Panama. Panama is a third world country. How are you verifying the quality of the stem cells? Well, we harvest them and we do all the research we can on them. And I said, well, how many of these patients' stem cells have come from parents that have had some kind of terminal disease, have had some kind of hereditary disease, have had the vaccination? How do you screen all that stuff out? He couldn't give me an answer. So that's the problem that people don't think about. You're injecting somebody else's cells into your body to regenerate your body with somebody else's cells. What are the ramifications for that? Nobody has any historical information on that.
Now, there's a doctor that I haven't spoken to him in quite a while, but he was doing stem cell research in West Palm Beach. And if I remember correctly, he had developed a way your body can produce stem cells if it's stimulated to produce stem cells. He found a way to stimulate the body and get stem cells from the individual. He was part of a networking company that I was involved with. We were business owners. There was like 30 some odd of us, business owners, all meeting on a weekly basis and exchanging ideas and trying to help each other with business. And he was one of them. He brought his patient in and brought pictures of his patient before and after. The patient had disintegrated right or left. One of his knees was gone, and they were the doctors he was seeing was saying, "You're going to have an operation. We're going to have to put all this stuff in your knee," and blah 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 blah. He did the stem cell. I don't recall. I think it was for like 4 or 5 months. He did the stem cell stuff with my doctor as an experiment, and the doctor could use the data. And he's walking. he comes in with an X-ray of before and after. Before, there was literally, it was like bone on bone. After, you could see it looked like completely rebuilt, totally rebuilt. The guy had to use a cane before. He doesn't use a cane anymore. And the thing that was amazing to me is that I've always believed that whatever comes up in your body has a way. If your body made it, your body has a way of unmaking it, so to speak. I've always believed that, and he proved that with this guy. That over a period of time, this guy's knee completely rebuilt itself. And I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but he was believing, like what you said earlier. He wanted to prove it, that if somebody had a problem in the body, that the stem cells would go to the problem. So if you were a healthy person and you put stem cells in you, you're not going to really see a big deal. But if you're sick, if you have whatever it might be, a bad liver or whatever, and you put stem cells in, the stem cells are going to go to wherever the damage is and work on it. Now, again, I haven't talked to him in quite a while, but that was his next step. He wanted to prove that you could regrow your organs using stem cells.
Well, our body is phenomenal to begin with. You think, okay, God's creation is amazing. I mean, if you look at the uniqueness of each individual in the world, we're all uniquely individual. Similarities come from, parental genes and stuff like that. So you have some characteristics of your predecessors, but the reality of it is we're all unique in every aspect. And so you have to wonder, you look in biblical times where people lived into their hundreds, into their hundreds of years.
Many hundreds. Yeah.
And so, you look at, why are we not living like that?
It's because we're poisoned, slowly poisoned with everything.
Well, we have,
and the telomeres, I think that's what they're called. Our telomeres have been shortened.
Well,
that's what
I think there was something in the biblical time that God did something to us. I can't remember what it was.
It was after the flood.
It was a punishment. Yeah, didn't want us living. Yeah, didn't want us living.
Before the flood, people were living 500,
800 years. Yeah, But and also, was time relative back there? What's the difference? Was it a year? Was it 365 days?
Yeah.
No, we don't know what the relative term was back then, because a year might have been 6 months.
Yeah.
Or a year might have been a month.
A couple of months. Yeah.
And so we don't know, and that's a problem. We get misinterpretations and guidance of what our thought processes are. Like I was saying about Ezekiel, we perceive that we know at that time what it means, but we look at it from a different perspective later on.
It had to be a flying saucer. I mean, the description is of a flying saucer. It's just, I don't think they had the language to properly, didn't a UFO, the words UFO in their language didn't even exist.
Well, if you look at,
it didn't exist.
Okay, that's like we've talked about this once before, where you look at World War II, there were planes flying over Africa that crashed in Africa. And years later, people went by and tried to track down the people that died in the plane crash to bring their bodies home. And they found these tribes in Africa worshiping artifacts of an airplane, saying it was a god that fell from sky. Yeah. So, there's the ignorance of our society. And that's another thing that always amazed me, is people say that, okay, I've often asked this question, and I'm trying not to be going down this bad path, but why does Africa still have these tribes out there? And you saw what happened with what Trump did. Oh my God, with the South African prime minister, buried that guy.
Somebody on the spot.
You know, here he is, but that guy deserved it. Here he is giving a speech saying, "Go out and kill white people."
Yeah.
And you know, that's
they were celebrating killing white people.
Yeah. And so you look at South Africa, Johannesburg has been overrun and destroyed because of as soon as they got rid of apartheid, the African hordes came in and started destroying the city and started killing white people.
Prior to that, I think what the white population was like something really small, like 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
But yet the country was doing great. Now that they're not in running the country or in whatever it was they were doing,
it's not under British rule anymore.
Yeah.
It was under British rule at the time, so the Brits would come in there with their military and keep everybody in line. But the apartheid worked. It worked in Africa. And so, you know, here we are. We think we're the righteous nation in the world. And we go impose our beliefs and our ideals on other countries. And this is what gets us in trouble. We go in there and say, well, you should be a democratic country. Well, so we're going to give you money to overthrow your government, has been working for thousands of years to make you look like us. And that's our mistake. We shouldn't try to make other countries that are working.
We meddled in so many other countries.
Well, I mean, that's what we did in Africa. We went in there and dispelled apartheid. We said, we're going to trade embargoes on you until you get rid of apartheid. And look what it did. It destroyed Johannesburg.
I wasn't aware that was us, though.
Yeah, it was us. The United States did that. The United States went in and imposed embargoes or tariffs on South Africa until they got rid of apartheid. And then Mandela was oh my God, he was the underlying current for destruction of Johannesburg. And so you look at the history of all our meddling, and no wonder a lot of the countries in the world hate us.
Yeah.
Is because
I never realized what we did around the globe with regard to affecting millions and millions and millions of lives until I got much older.
Yeah. Well, you know, the problem is fortunately I have met a lot of incredible people in my life throughout the world. I mean, okay, what are the odds of me meeting the guy that's going to be the next president of another country?
Yeah. Wow.
You know, it's like slim and none.
Yeah.
And so you don't know who you're going to meet out there, and you don't know who's going to what impact you might have on other people's lives.
Yeah.
And how the little things, you know, somebody once said, does my life matter? And my comment to that was, if you've impacted one person's life in a good way in your entire existence, you're worth.
And you never know. Like I had somebody tell me years back, oh, you know what? I read about, we were in the newspaper for a while there because of our position and what we were doing with the foster parent program. And they told me, oh, you know, I read about you in the paper with such an inspiration, blah, 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 blah. And this guy didn't know me from Adam, right? But he just read about me in the newspaper. And he said, because of you, my wife and I couldn't have kids, but because of you, we're going to adopt a child.
See, you know, here's the thing. Okay, you adopting these children, the impact you have on those children, just from the adoption alone, impacted those kids' lives. So here you are, you've impacted in the future, who knows what they will do in their life. You know, some good, some bad. Yeah. But the reality of it is you've had an impact. And so, you know, I was able to have an effect on saving 2 people's lives that had cancer. Now, this one couple in Texas, I was giving a mediation training, and one of the students came up to me. He was out on the porch and he was crying, and I said, what's going on? He goes, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, you know, cause any problems. He said, but my wife has cancer and we can't get her treated. And I said, he says, because we don't have enough money. And I said, well, then you should be able to get cancer treatment as an indigent. He goes, no, we tried that. I make too much money. I went, wait a minute. You make too much money, but you don't make enough money to pay for this? He goes, I make $14,000 a year. I'm
Wow.
above $1,000 above the poverty level. So anyway, I called a woman I used to date who was Margaret Williams, incredible lady. She inherited $1.5 billion. She had donated over hundreds of millions of dollars to MD Anderson Cancer Center. So I called her up and I said, listen, Margaret, can you help these people out? Within an hour, the president of MD Anderson called me up and said, what do you need? I said, this lady needs to be treated in Houston. She lives in Greenville, Texas. She can't afford to stay down there while she's being treated. They can't afford transportation to go down there. They can't afford to, take off from work because they can't afford the food or anything like that. He said, we'll take care of everything.
Wow.
We'll transport her to Houston. We'll pay for food, lodging, anything she needs while she's here, give her treatment. They took care of her, cured her cancer. Then when I came to Florida, my neighbors came up to me and said, hey, if you get a chance, you might want to take some food over to this young lady. She's 32 years old, nice young lady, had a rare form of cancer. She was expected to die within 30 days.
Oh my goodness.
It was a 14-month terminal. She was into it 13 months. So I met her and I called Margaret again, sent her pictures of the family. She was a 32-year-old mother of 2 children. And so sure enough, MD Anderson president called me up and said, what do we need? I said, there's this young girl. She needs treatment. She's into this rare form disease, and it's supposedly she only has 30 days left. So they took her over, and she called me, and she said the doctors that were treating her were mistreating her. And had she kept up the regimen they had, she would have died in 30 days.
Oh, my God.
MD Anderson changed her regimen. I saw her husband this has been, oh my gosh, it's been probably 8 years ago. And I saw her husband the other day. He says she's cancer free. Awesome. So the point being is this: you never know who your connections might lead you to help somebody else out. Could I have done it myself? No, but Margaret, me meeting Margaret, got the opportunity to help 2 people out.
Yeah. Wow.
So, going through life. So for me, I feel like I've accomplished 2 cool things in my life. I mean, really cool things. So do I matter?
In those lives you do, but me.
Yeah, exactly. And so you look at that and go, yeah, I was able to have a positive effect on somebody. And if it's only one person in your entire life, your life has meaning. Yeah. And a lot of people are depressed and they're bummed out and they're all sad and they're going, I'm not worth anything. You're worth something.
You don't know who you're affecting. That's why I said earlier, you have no idea the effect that you have on different people.
You don't. And, being good and kind to everyone is the most important thing, is to have this feeling of importance and worth in your life is what we're all about. I know we're getting close to the end tonight.
Yeah.
This has been a fun show tonight. I know we didn't get to talk about Trump and Elon, but I
enjoy having conversations with you. Always good.
I threw a new conspiracy theory out there.
Yeah, that was a good. It's a good thought. I didn't occur to me. I was,
Well, it occurred to me the minute I saw Chuck Schumer or whatever his name is, Schumer immediately embrace Elon again. I was like, what a crock. I was like, oh, there we go. We got it set up. He's got it set up. So he's welcome back into the tent of the Democrats. So what better way to spy on the Democrats than to have Elon Musk?
If you're right and it goes down like that, I am going to party. I'm telling you.
Well, we quickly adjusted to judge against Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Because we thought, here is this traitor.
I didn't think of him as a traitor. Initially I thought it was like you, like they put on an act. And then I thought, well, maybe he really is upset with Trump because maybe he feels like all the work that I did, all the garbage that I found, all the money that was going to be saved is not going to be pissed away in this new bill, which should have never been passed. That
right.
That was another thing. So that was just a fleeting thought, but the idea of him, becoming the double agent, that's pretty good.
Robert Betcher just said, we're running out of conspiracy theories. They keep coming through. And that's, and that's true. You never know how this might play out.
Amen.
If Elon becomes a spy, is a spy for Trump, I think that'd be hilarious.
Oh, what a riot that would be. You think about the fiasco remember the balloons, the fiasco with the balloons.
Yeah.
And how everybody just went nuts. All the media was trying to downplay it and blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine now if this happens, the media will go absolutely bonkers because they won't know what to do.
If we start spreading this out there, these people are going to go nuts. And they're going to go, oh, we've been spied on. Oh my God, Elon's spying on us. I mean,
now you know what it feels like, right? Oh my gosh.
Here we are. Awesome. So Robert, we want you to get out there and start spreading that rumor.
Robert's one of the loyals. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate it, man. God bless you, brother. All right, I'm going to cut it just a little short tonight. Jerry, thank you. Always a pleasure. Always educational. Like I said, I learned about this new theory. That's awesome.
Hey, you never know. It could be very plausible.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I appreciate you, my friend. God bless you. Wish you a great weekend, whatever's left of it here. It's pretty shot up now.
You take care. It's nice being on the show again. It's good to see you again. God bless you. You take care.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate it. A little bit of a technical problem initially, but finally got through it. In the interim of all of that, I had something else I was going to play for you. Just a quickie. Let's see. Here we go.
Johnson & Johnson is the largest, costliest, and deadliest criminal conspiracies in American history. Nothing else is close. They caused or contributed to the deaths of 2 million Americans. Johnson & Johnson, according to grand jury documents that I have, which, as you know, Josh, is really rare to have. They are very secret. Johnson & Johnson sales reps then went to psychiatrists with 2 messages. One was, don't worry about killing your patients. No one will ever catch you. And the other was, if you want to hide your tracks, diagnose these patients with late onset schizophrenia. You and I both know that there is no such thing as late onset schizophrenia. And that's when I realized, oh my God, this company is totally different than what I thought. Because of course, Johnson & Johnson has been selling itself as the baby company for more than 100 years. Johnson & Johnson itself has spent $35 billion since 2011 on lawyers and litigation. I knew many of the top experts in the country, and I called them about these stories, and they would immediately go off the record and say, Gardner, are you out of your mind? Do you know what kind of lawyers these people have?
You know, when I think back to Johnson & Johnson for myself, the thing I remember most is the commercials with No More Tears, right? You've got a baby in a bath, but the reality is that it's good marketing. And it was a lie.
A big lie. For those who may not know, there's a lawsuit that has been filed against Johnson & Johnson for some of their baby products because their baby products have toxins in them that cause cancer. So imagine the marketing that they did. Oh, safe for your baby, no more tears. Remember the No More Tears? The No More Tears shampoo had all kinds of garbage in it. Okay, well, maybe your baby's not crying because it got a drop of soap in their eye, but they're going to die from all the garbage that they put in the soap. Crazy. So anyway, I wanted to play that for you, just kind of bring you up to date. These pharmaceutical companies are not your friends. They're here to make a profit, and it doesn't matter if people die in the process of that. As long as they're continuing to make the profit, that's what's most important. People not enough people know that that's the true story, that it's all about money. It's sad that we live in a society that is so financially based. I mean, if you're an individual and you don't make enough money and you end up homeless, then you have no value. What kind of craziness is that? If you're somebody who's very successful, but you're a real jerk in life, you're looked up to because you're successful in business. We got some serious changes we got to make. And I'm really quite upset with Trump over this Palantir thing, whatever it's called. Don't like that idea. Maybe he doesn't want it for nefarious reasons, but he's not going to be around forever. We have to think about what's happening in the future. couple of other things he's done with it. That's the one that sticks out of my mind.
Take the blue pill, take the red
All right,
pill, take
here
the
it coming
blue
up.
pill.
God bless. Thank you, guys. Back to
You
me.
take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the